Hello, hi. Welcome back everybody to yet another dollar stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Friday or wherever and whenever you may be actually watching. Hello, welcome on in. Everybody, we have finally fixed all of the technical issues that I've been having, hopefully, because I did some fancy stuff with my Wi-Fi. Basically, by the way, when the stream starts off, I really want to open this off by saying fuck ISPs. Every single internet service provider is actually just a modern day mafia. They're evil, and they take and they leech and they steal your money for a garbage product. But it's okay, because we fix some things. Hello, welcome on in everybody. I see that we have a lot of beautiful people entering the chat today. We have Big Zach, I see that we have Jack, we have Moonha, we have Catman. Hello, welcome on in everybody. It's good to see all of you. I missed you all. Cool new panels, thank you. Made them myself. I'm very proud of them. I designed them myself after my stream announcements. So, everybody. Oh yeah, Zero, you're right. The Mafia is just a couple of steps above ISPs. Man, they're pretty terrible. Okay, everybody, that's enough. It's enough complaining. It's enough complaining about that. Let's talk a little bit about what we'll be making today, and I'm pretty excited about it today. So, this is what I was supposed to do on Wednesday. And thus, also welcome Kaze, that's right, I forgot about you, I'm so sorry. So, this is what we were supposed to do on Wednesday, but then the stream ended up getting pushed back, so we're doing this today instead. Everybody, we're doing a chorizo broccoli cheddar soup, okay? So the chorizo broccoli cheddar soup was inspired by the fact that I had broccoli in my fridge. It was a lot fresher 2 days ago, but guess what? I still have it. That's right, Moonha. I have everything ready to go for today. So we're going to do a lot of really exciting stuff. First things first, everybody. We will be starting off today by making a lovely homemade chicken stock. I have a whole chicken. I only exclusively buy whole chickens for reasons that I'll explain in a little bit. But we have a whole chicken. We have some of the chicken feet as well. We'll make a beautiful stock, and I'll have some of the stock left over to use in other projects. And in addition, right behind it, let's swivel this over for you. I have some lovely chorizo here as well that's going to go into the soup today. Then, I have the broccoli, which has definitely seen some better days. Okay, I just dropped some of it. Okay. This broccoli has seen better days. It's a little old at this point, but that's why it's going to get turned into a soup like this. We're going to give it a lot of love. It's not going to be like super uncooked or anything, and we're going to transform it and really make something special out of it. Okay? So we're going to char it. We're going to separate the stems from the actual florets, and we're going to char the florets. And that's really exciting because we get to do different things to it. We get to incorporate flavor in different ways. We're not just wasting and throwing away the stems. We're going to peel them so that we get rid of like the super fibrous part and blend it until super smooth. And then the florets, we're going to basically half blend after they're charred. So we're going to get like a really nice smokiness. We're going to get a really nice saltiness out of like this like crispy charred broccoli. And then still cook it down low and slow and get a lot of the sweetness out of it as well. So we're really giving a lot of love and a lot of respect to the broccoli. So you'll see what that's like. And then in addition, my friends, over here, I have a bunch of cumin seeds. Into the soup itself, we're gonna have plenty of cumin seeds, some coriander seeds as well. We're gonna toast it up. We're gonna make our own little spice powder for it as well. Everybody, I love having whole cumin seeds on hand. Whole cumin makes things so special. When you have pre-ground spices that have been sitting there in a little container exposed to light oxygen or both for extended amounts of time, it loses so much flavor, it loses so much aroma. Having them be intact in their seed form and locked away and then only ground when needed, you get to extract the most flavor out of it that way. Okay? And so, we have whole cumin seeds and we'll also have some whole coriander seeds. I have some jalapenos because I was like, fuck it. I think it'll be nice. A little bit of spice, it'll go a long way, I think. And then in the fridge at the moment, I have two kinds of cheese. I have some cheddar and I have some American cheese. And so the soup is going to have a little bit of milk in it and a little bit of sodium citrate as well. The sodium citrate is pretty essential. It's going to help make sure that a cheese sauce, the cheese soup, doesn't actually break or split or anything. So it's going to be pretty exciting stuff. The question is everybody ready for today's stream? Are we all ready? Can we begin? Also, Zio, I'm glad that I've been able to reignite that passion for cooking. That makes me happy to hear. Yes, chef, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. I want to hear unanimous yes, chef from everybody that's watching. And if you're watching this at home by yourself, you can even just say it out loud in the privacy of your own room. So, we're going to have a little sip of water. Excellent. And let's begin, my friends. The first step that we have to do, we have to make the chicken stock for today. We're going to break down a whole chicken. We're not going to use the meat. We're not going to use all the stock. But the soup is going to be based off the chicken stock. And I only buy whole chickens so that I have the bones and all the different parts with which I can make the stock. I never buy breasts, I never buy thighs, I only buy whole chickens. So my friends, let us begin. So I have my cutting board already prepped. Guess what? Also, Willow, hello, welcome on in. Lovely to have you. All right, everybody, I'm gonna glove up. You do not have to. I'm only doing this so I don't have to wash my hands after handling the chicken. And if you may notice, really quickly, on my stove, if we take a look, I already have my pressure cooker pot filled with about 3 quarts of water, maybe around like 2.5 or so. And I just love doing stocks at home in a pressure cooker, right? Because it only takes about 50 minutes. No, I don't think anybody in chat needs to glove up. That's a good question, Spectra, but you do not need to. Okay, so I love doing chicken stocks in a pressure cooker as always, my friends. Because why? It's a lot quicker. And you're able to kind of squeeze it into the confines of a regular stream as well. And you could just kind of have that going and you don't really necessarily need to babysit it. We're not doing a crazy stock. We're not blanching the bones. We're not roasting the bones. We're not doing anything crazy like that. It's a very simple stock. And so, let's begin. I'm going to show you my lovely chicken here, which has had a couple of days to just essentially dry out in the fridge. Everybody, I do not care when you're about to cook. Whenever you go buy meat from a grocery store, the number one thing that you should do is take it out, pat it dry, and put it down on a sheet tray. If you don't have a sheet tray, put it on a plate and leave it exposed in the fridge. Supermarket chickens especially, they're so saturated full of water. They're just wet, they're gonna make a mess, and it's going to be the most unpleasant thing to work with imaginable. You put these on a sheet tray, ideally a day in advance or so, you don't even have to salt it or anything, and we're able to get a much nicer and much easier product to work with. Okay, I highly recommend air drying any meat that you buy from the grocery store and leaving it exposed for a day or two. How many times have you bought like a whole chicken and it's sitting there in a bag and it's just full of liquid? Oh, it's horrible. It's just wet, and then try to put it on your cutting board and it makes a mess all over the place. So we don't do that. We don't mess with any of that. All that's gonna happen is this. First, we gotta set up our station. Even steak, absolutely death owl. Even steak, especially if it comes like packaged in plastic or anything. If it comes packaged in plastic, it probably has already built up quite a bit of humidity by the time you're ready to use it. And it's so much nicer to do it this way. You just can pick it up and you can work with it. So, it just kind of stuck. My friends, here's a whole chicken. I'm gonna teach you how to break this whole thing down and get the bones out of it with which to make a stock. Over here, we have a couple of sections of chicken fat that I actually do not need for today. You could get a bunch of this, you could make schmaltz if you really want, but I'm not gonna do that. All I'm doing is I'm just getting rid of these big chunks of fat. They don't have anything really meaningful to contribute to the broth at the moment. I also have some hairs here that I wanted to pluck out, some remaining feathers, but don't sweat this part too much. Perfect, totally fine. Okay, my friends, you ready? So, here's the first step. We're going to get the legs off of this bird. So, here's the leg, here's the breast. Really nice and simple. You're gonna make a quick little incision right here, as close to the thigh skin as possible, so you can keep the breast skin intact. You're gonna flip it over, you're gonna pop the joint out, okay? And we're never cutting through bone during this process, my friends. All we're doing is we're following the direction of the meat, okay? We're just following it and we're going in between the bones. All we did, we popped out the leg, we popped out the joint, and we're able to separate it all. Hello, SMG, welcome, welcome. Look at that, that's already one leg gone. Now, let's do the second leg. Once again, we're just splitting the skin. We're making an incision as close to the thigh skin as possible. We take it and we pop it out. And then we're trying to get as much of the oyster, right? This little back part of the meat on the thigh. We take it with us. And then we're just going in between the joints, as always, my friends. And there you go. That's another beautiful leg done. Okay. Now, I can show you how to split this as well, but I'm actually going to keep these legs intact because I don't know what I'm going to use them for quite yet. Okay? So, next step, my friends. We got to get the wings off. I'm going to show you how to get the wings off. You flip it over, breast side down, backbone up. And the wings, they make for some excellent stock. I don't have any other reason to really cook them at the moment. So all we're doing, we're just making a little incision. We're just going around the wing bone like so. And then you can see, we've now exposed the joint. We've exposed the bone. We want to get in there with a knife, and we want to, as close to the wing as possible, take it off. Beautiful. And this entire wing, I'm just going to throw into the pot. The whole thing goes in now. Again, I don't have much use for it. I'm not going to make like chicken wings or anything. And now let's do the rest of it. Okay. What type of chicken is that? Great question. This is from a local halal butcher. I don't actually know in regards to the kind of feeding on it. It's a lovely question, though, so thank you for asking, Jack. Lovely technique as always. Thank you, Robin. Okay, guess what? Look at this. Nice and easy. We pop out the wing, and off the whole thing goes out. Nice and easy, my friends. Beautiful. Okay, then I'm going to come back to the rest of the carcass in a second. I just want to focus on the chicken feet as well. This is what's really nice about my local butcher shop as well. I was just able to get some of these chicken feet for free, and anytime I go in, I can literally just get more if I ask nicely. So all we're going to do, my friends, we're just going to get the nails off, okay? Always have a waste bowl ready when you're cooking. You cut the nails off. Okay, you want to do it pretty close to it so it just pops off nice and easy. And these make for, in my opinion, some of the best stock. If you can, go to a local butcher, ask them for chicken feet. Oftentimes, in my area, they give this away to me for free. Otherwise, you can just buy it, and these would be the cheapest bones that you could possibly buy for stock, or do what I do and only work with whole chickens. No matter what you do, you can always just get some really, really nice and cheap chicken feet, and they are my ideal part of the chicken with which to make a stock. So we're just cutting off the nails to make sure they don't end up in the stock or anything, because that's a little gross. Okay, and the chicken feet, we're just gonna throw them into the pot as well, my friends. Okay, next, let us separate the breast from the rest of the carcass, my friends. So, we have the chicken breast right here, and on it is the backbone, and we want that backbone and we want that breastplate as well. So, if you take your finger, you will feel right there down the center is going to be the main breastbone. And either side of the breast will be on either side of the breastbone. It's gonna be nice and easy. We're not going to slice all the way through. We're just gonna go on one side of the breastbone, and we're making an incision. Don't slice all the way through. You're gonna see why. Okay, we're gonna slice all the way through to this end, and then we make one little horizontal incision like this. And now, guess what we can do? Guess what? We can just simply separate. This is the chicken tender, and this is the chicken breast. We can just use our fingers to peel this away. Okay, and then the chicken breast can easily come off. I guess I should have actually cut it all the way down there. But the chicken breast easily comes off of the tender. Look at this. Okay, most of it is off now. We gotta make sure that it's separated over here. And off it all goes. And that, my friends, is one beautiful chicken breast. So, you've asked me, I forgot who asked that in the chat, I apologize. Can you make chicken stock without a pressure cooker? The answer is yes, absolutely you can. The reason I use a pressure cooker is because it's a lot more convenient in a home setting, and I'm also doing this on stream. If I tried to do a chicken stock without a pressure cooker, it would take maybe like 3 hours for me, and that would be too long to do within the confines of a stream. So that's more of like a streamer logistics thing. Okay, we've peeled off the chicken tender, and guess what, my friends? One beautiful chicken breast, and one beautiful chicken tender. Just like that. And now we're gonna do the same exact thing to the other side. We're gonna take our knife, we're just making an incision, we're not cutting all the way down, but we just cut through the end skin. Okay? Make an incision, we cut through all the way here, and then we just follow the wishbone. I don't like taking out the wishbones, it's a lot of effort. And look at this. Once again, the breast simply from the tender separates. It wants to be gone. It wants nothing to do with it anymore. There you go. And then you can just peel the whole thing right out. Look at that. Perfect. Let's just cut this bad boy out. I've seen people rip this part out, but I've done that and I've ended up with like leaving a lot of my flesh. Okay, guess what? That breast is totally separated. And now, let's separate that last tender. This one's a little bit more stuck than the other one. I got a little bit lazy. Okay, come on. Off it goes. Yeah, don't worry about this one. This one kind of fell apart on me, but that's okay. So, guess what? We have now fully separated and gotten all the meat off this entire chicken carcass. Whew. Welcome on in, was it? Yeah, there was a police siren outside. I completely drowned that out, and then somebody said FBI opened up, and I got a little bit nervous. Okay, my friends, guess what? Chicken carcass is now done. We have fully separated and broken it down. And now I'm just going to throw that into the pot of water that I've already laid out for us. I'm going to take my gloves off, and we got to assess the situation. Now, that's not going to be it for the stock. We still want to throw in some onion. We're going to throw in some bay leaves and some black peppercorns. So, let's head on over to the stove. Back to my pressure cooker pot. A couple black peppercorns, don't go too crazy with this. Just a few. That's like 5 or so. And then some lovely little bay leaves. We're just gonna dump those in. And guys, don't listen to the bay leaf haters. Everybody says, oh, bay leaves are fake. They don't smell like anything. They don't taste like anything. It's just not true. I love bay leaves. I love them. Oh, excellent. Well, we have scallions today, asks Moonha, and the answer is no. I don't have any more scallions to get rid of. So no scallions for today. Okay, let me pause. Let's take a second. I'm gonna have some water. Okay, let's come back over here. Oh no, did my wireless keyboard just die? That is okay. I have a solution. I've been using a wireless keyboard for my streams, but I can just plug it in with the power of technology. So I just need a second to detangle my mess of wires. Okay, when I said there's no technical difficulties, maybe I forgot to account for one. Okay, hi, we're back. So let's head back to the stove, my friends. Well, to the cutting board rather. And now the last step, we're just gonna throw in a whole onion. We're just gonna take it, we're gonna cut off the skin. You can leave the skin on. What it does is it adds like a very nice color to everything. But to do that, you would kind of have to wash it. And I don't care enough to do that. I don't care enough to wash my onion to get any remaining dirt off of it. Okay? I don't think it's worth the effort for me. Okay. Gloved up yet again, because remember the cutting board is contaminated. So all that we're gonna do, my friends, we're going to take it, we're gonna cut the head off, we're gonna cut the root off, just like so. And then we're gonna get the skin off. And now, you might be wondering, Dario, why aren't you just cutting it in half to take the skin off? Why did you do it like this? And the answer for this is because I don't want the onion to fall apart in the stock and make it cloudy and make it very difficult for us to strain later. The bigger you keep your vegetables in the stock, I promise you the flavor will extract into the stock. The easier it will be to take out later. Okay, onion going into the chicken stock now. And that, my friends, is it. That is everything that I want going inside of the stock. Let's have a little recap. So, this, my friends, is the chicken stock for the soup. It has an entire chicken carcass, meaning the backbone. It has the wings. It has the wing tips, and it also has the chicken feet. And there we have some black peppercorns, some bay leaves, and onion. We are intentionally not salting this. And the reason for this is because we do not know what else we'll be using this for. We don't know if we're going to be making a sauce out of it, aka reducing it down a bunch. We don't know if we're making a soup out of it later. We don't know what it's going to be used for, because it's not just for today. I never salt my stocks because you want to be able to control your salinity later on. This is not a final soup. This is purely to be used in the soup later on. And then I'm going to have some left over. So don't salt your base stocks. Do not do it unless you're 100% confident you're going to use all of it. But I really, really highly recommend not salting it in advance. Okay. Big Zach says, is there much of a flavor difference roasting the chicken before using the carcass versus not doing so? And that's a good question. The answer is yes. It will taste like a roasted chicken stock as opposed to just a chicken stock. It is not necessarily better or worse to do. It is purely a matter of preference. Now, something that I think is really exciting to do is, let's say you're making a roast chicken. Let's say you're making a roast chicken, and then you get the breast off and you get the legs off, and you have all of these bones. Making a stock with that carcass, although a little bit less concentrated, you have to do like less water, can be really, really delicious as well. And it imparts like a very nice roasted flavor, and you're using all of your bones. So I don't really roast my bones anymore when I'm doing a chicken stock, unless I'm already doing like a whole roast chicken. And I hope that answers your question. It's not better or worse, it's just different, and it adds a specific flavor to it. Okay, my friends. So I'm gonna get this onto the pressure cooker. It has to go on high for about 50 minutes or so. You can push it to an hour and a half. 50 minutes is a good amount for me. 50 minutes at high pressure, I'm going to set that up right now. And then I got to wash off my station. And we can begin everything else. Does everybody follow? You know what I want to hear? Does everybody follow me? Okay. Setting the pot. Okay. Excellent. That's exactly what I want to hear. Okay. So, little recap. We just set the chicken stock on. Also, welcome on in Cosmic. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. The chicken stock, some of it is going to be used for the soup today, and maybe some of it I'm going to just have in my fridge to use for something else. Welcome on in Opal as well. And then we got to begin the rest of the components. We have a lot of broccoli to go through. We have a lot of chorizo to go through. We're going to toast the cumin as well. So, Robin asks me, do you think you lose collagen when you roast the chicken first? That is an excellent question. That is one of my favorite questions that I've been asked. And this is a question that I've thought about a lot. So, I don't have a scientific answer for you. I have an anecdotal one. Let's say that you have a roast chicken carcass. Let's say you just have a chicken carcass versus one that wasn't roasted at all. In my experience, although the flavor of it can have a bit of a roasted feel to it, if you use, let's say, 2 quarts of water to one roasted chicken carcass and 2 quarts of water for completely raw, uncooked chicken carcass, the uncooked one, to me, has been consistently more gelatinous. It has been consistently more gelatinous. Now, that's not necessarily wasteful per se. All that I would do is just reduce it a little bit more. And I feel like some of it just ends up getting lost in the cooking process somewhere. This is something that I've observed before in the past. I don't necessarily have a scientific explanation for this of why. Maybe the only thing is that it would like release water and that would carry some of the gelatin with it, and that would get like kind of stuck to the sheet tray. But theoretically, let's say you did this in all like one big Dutch oven. You did like a roast chicken carcass in one Dutch oven and you made a stock in it. Theoretically, that should have all of the collagen and all of the gelatin still in it. So that's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you. But anecdotally, in my experience, taking it out after it's been roasted and then making a stock out of it has resulted in a mild loss of concentration. I hope that helps. Okay, we gotta work on the, I was about to say burritos. We gotta work on the broccoli, we gotta char it, we gotta peel it, we gotta do a bunch of stuff to it. Before I can even think about doing that, the most important thing at the moment, I have to wash up my knife. So everybody please give me a second. This is my only knife at the moment because my others are currently being sharpened. So I'm gonna wash this chickened up knife off. But yes, that was a really good question. I'm very happy that you asked me that. And once again, everybody, as I'm washing this, if anybody has any questions, any comments, any concerns, I love hearing about it. I love it when you guys talk to me. I love it when you have something that you want help with. Anything that you want help with at all. That is quite literally why I'm here. I am here for all of you. I'm here to help teach you how to cook. Okay. I have now successfully washed up my chef's knife. And remember, this is a carbon steel knife that I'm using. This is my creamery knife. And so, I make sure to always like dry it off pretty thoroughly. Also, in the name of God, what is your question? Talk to me. Okay, so we gotta get started on everything else. Once again, guys, clean as you go. I'm gonna throw this into the dishwasher. Okay. How am I so cute? Great question. Estrogen is the answer. Okay. So my friends, we have now set up our station yet again. This is, once again, a carbon steel knife, so you want to make sure it's nicely dried off as needed. Okay. Hello, possum. Welcome on in. And now, all of these chicken pieces, I'm not actually going to need today. The only thing of this I'm going to need is actually just going to be the chorizo. So I'm going to take the chorizo, I'm going to go ahead and put it on a separate plate. I'm going to take my chorizo out. Okay, and I'm just going to have that chill out back here. And the chicken, I'm just going to quickly throw on into the fridge. Okay, everybody, so we have a lot of components to the soup today. or rather a lot of things that need to get done. We're being pretty technical with everything because I want to give every single component a lot of love. So first step, we're gonna make some charred broccoli florets. We gotta talk about this. So this is theory that can apply to cabbage. This is theory that can apply to broccoli. This is theory that can apply to cauliflower and Brussels sprouts as well. The sweet spot, if you want to get something very sweet tasting, quite literally sweet spot, for cooking any of these kinds of vegetables, any brassicas, any cruciferous vegetables, to get a really, really sweet and sometimes even described as a nutty flavor out of it, you want to cook it somewhere in the range of 20 to 40 minutes, if we're talking about like boiled. Now, the really nice thing about vegetables like broccoli, about things like cauliflower, about things like cabbage, they have very little sugar. They have so little sugar present that you can really char the shit out of them. You can really burn them. How many times on a menu have you seen something like charred Brussels sprouts? You can basically blast them with heat, make them completely scorched on the outside, and they won't taste burnt, but they'll have a really nice crispiness, and they'll have a very nice complexity to them. And that's exactly what we're doing with the broccoli. We're going to show off both dimensions, the really crispy, roasted, delicious side of it, and also the sweet, creamy, blended up broccoli stems. So we get to be nice and efficient, and we don't have to waste anything at all. Also, welcome on in, Orbital. So here's what we're gonna do, my friends. Oven, we're going to go ahead and preheat this at 500 degrees. This kitchen is gonna get nice and hot. 500 degrees, crank it all the way up, okay? And again, we're just getting this step done in advance so that we don't have to worry about it after. Now, let's talk about the sheet tray that we have. So take a look. This is my sheet tray. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cover this in foil, and then I'm gonna put it into the oven. The reason we're putting this into an empty oven right now that's cold is because we want the sheet tray to get nice and hot. When we pour in the broccoli, we want it to sizzle immediately and put it back into the oven. We wanna get that bottom really nice and crispy. So we're preheating this like we would a pan. But in order to make my life a little bit easier, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cover this up in foil. You don't have to, but it's just a nice touch. Cheddar in soup. How does cheese go in soup, asks Dennis. Good question. The answer is a little bit of milk and a little bit of sodium citrate. This is an American broccoli cheese soup. It's basically like a glorified broccoli sauce with glorified cheese sauce with a little bit of broccoli in it, but don't worry about this. So my friends, sheet tray. Aluminum foil just to make cleanup a little bit easier later on, to stop oil from burning onto it. And we're putting this into the 500-degree oven as it heats up. We want that sheet tray to be nice and hot so that the broccoli sizzles as soon as it gets put on, okay? Otherwise, if we just put broccoli on an empty sheet tray, it would take a little bit of time for it to heat up, and it's not gonna sizzle on the bottom, and it's not gonna get as crispy as we would like. Okay, and now my friends, let's talk about prepping the broccoli. I'm gonna teach you. I'm gonna show you how to do this in the least messy way possible. I have a question. How many times have you tried to cut up broccoli or cauliflower, and then you've realized you've made a big mess, and a lot of the little florets are all over your cutting board? How many times has that happened to you? Also, Zio asks, thoughts on silicone baking mats instead of foil? The answer is, silicone baking mats are good if you are doing pastries and you don't want something to stick. You don't do high temperature silicone. So, it happens to everybody. It's happened to all of us at some point or another. I'm gonna show you how to cut this up so that never happens to you again, okay? Really, really nice and simple. First step, we gotta have a bowl that we're gonna put this in after. We want a bowl big enough. It's fine. It's just fine. Don't worry about it. So, we have a nice big bowl, and you're gonna see why a big bowl is important. Broccoli, number one rule. Anytime you're working with a vegetable, especially one that you want to char, you want to make sure this thing is not wet. Wash it off and air dry it just like you would the meat. If this was wet and it went into that oven, that water is going to stop it from browning, it's going to continuously cool it, and it's basically going to be boiling in that oven. This is a properly dried out broccoli. So here's what we do, my friends. You stick it down like this, okay? And all we're going to do, we're just taking the tip of a knife and we're cutting off each floret. And again, don't worry about the stems. All of this is gonna go back into the soup. This one actually kind of went bad a little bit because again, this isn't the freshest broccoli that I have. So all that we do, my friends, We just take it and we're cutting off little teeny tiny florets here. Okay? Teeny tiny ones. It's essential. The rest of this is just going to go into the soup as normal. Okay. Perfect. And you see, this way, we're never, ever going to be actually directly cutting through it. And do I vinegar wash my broccoli? No. I don't think it's super necessary unless you're going to be eating it raw. And then in that case, you should be doing that to all broccoli. Okay, so look at this. We have minimal florets on the cutting board itself. It's inevitable for it to happen, but we have as few of them as possible. Okay? Actually, that bowl might have been too big. And I'm looking at it. We're going to do this bowl instead. So, this entire stem we're going to leave. You'll see what we do with it. We're just going to take all of these and we're going to throw them into this bowl. Try to keep these as intact as possible. But look at these beautiful little teeny tiny florets and a whole intact stem. Now, let's do that to the rest of this, right? Excellent. Same exact idea here. Yes, and the sliced broccoli stem, you can do that. I don't believe in doing that. This is just gonna get pureed and go into the soup itself. So my friends, an entire head of broccoli. And now we have all of this. And the question is, what do we possibly do with this? We have all of this broccoli stem. So here's what you need to understand. The thickest part of the stem can be so fibrous that it's a little difficult to eat. These teeny tiny thin stems, they're actually pretty okay to eat on their own. All that I'm doing though, I'm just taking off that dried end. So the thin stems, we're actually just going to slice off. Okay, don't worry about the thin stems, and all of this is just gonna get pureed and go into the soup. Thin stems, slice them off. These are just fine as is, okay? Something like that. And we're gonna slice these up in a second. Same exact idea here. This bottom part dried out, so we're just gonna toss that aside. Again, not the freshest broccoli. All of these are still good to go. Okay, my friends. Now, guess what? We have this big old stem right here, and this is where we take my peeler, okay? And all that we're going to do, we're just going to try and get rid of the thickest. You know what, actually, if I already cut off, I have a lot less stem to work with than I thought I would. All we're going to do though, we're just going to go through this, and we're going to peel up this broccoli, okay? Get rid of all of that super fibrous stem on the outside until you see like that nice darker green on the inside. Okay? Something like that. This way, we get to avoid wasting any of the stem, and we get to have as much of it going and peeling into the soup as possible. The texture of the fibrous stem, to me, isn't the most pleasant, and this is how we make the most out of it. Okay, stem. We're just going to go ahead and grab the bench scraper that we have here, just to clean all this up. And we have no use for that. And this, my friends, is a nicely peeled broccoli stem. And that's gonna get chopped up. Perfect. Is it bad that I've never eaten broccoli says kaze? Well, I guess it depends on why you've never eaten it, but it's not bad. It's a good texture, and I love the way that it soaks up sauces. And I also love it in this preparation as well, where we get to have it like nice and sweet, and we get to have it charred. So I do feel like you are just missing out. But yes, I love, just like especially like, you know, if you're thinking about like a lot of American Chinese cooking, right? Like things like chicken and broccoli. Oh, it's just the best. The way that it like soaks up all of that sauce, it's pretty incredible. Now, missing out on cauliflower. Not a lot of people grew up eating cauliflower. I did because Eastern Europeans really like their cauliflower. I love it. I love just plain boiled cauliflower with like salt and butter. That's the way I grew up eating it. Okay, my friends. So, we're going to go ahead and slice this up. Now, remember, all of this here is gonna get pureed. So you don't have to be perfect with your slices at all. This is just so that we can saute it later on, okay? It's gonna make it really nice and easy for us to do so. We're just slicing it up. We're just gonna make sure that it cooks through when it's time for to do that. Okay. And I'm thinking we might also peel up a carrot. I'm feeling a carrot in today's soup. Because we don't have like a lot of broccoli to go through. to actually constitute the base of this. I've seen people also like try to thicken those with potato, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to introduce unnecessary components where they don't belong. I'd rather just do the carrot. It might add some nice sweetness. Hello, Sagan. I hope you're having a beautiful day today. Okay, my friends. And yeah, don't worry about like these tiny stems too much. We're just trying to slice these up so they're all approximately the same width. But again, the goal is just for all of this to be blended up later on. Garlic, yeah, don't worry. There's going to be plenty of garlic in this. Okay? Ooh, the pressure cooker is still building up pressure. That might just take a while again, won't it? Okay. Couple more stems to go through. And all of these stems, we're going to puree them so fine. It's going to be like a really beautiful silky base for today's soup. Okay? And as long as we don't overcook it, we're not going to have like some of that like unpleasant stenchiness that people associate with broccoli. People oftentimes, they grew up eating like this really, really overcooked, oversteamed, mushy broccoli, mushy cauliflower, and they think they hate it. Guys, I promise you, there is that sweet spot where it is really, really delicious and sweet. And that is about like 20 minutes of total cook time. There's a really good video by Dan on the American Test Kitchen channel. Okay, go to the American Test Kitchen channel on YouTube, go find a video about cauliflower and listen to what that says. I promise you, it will revolutionize any of your cooked cruciferous vegetable applications. Okay, my friends, all the broccoli I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop up. Just toss it into my plate, and that's gonna be used for later on. I do not always love American Test Kitchen, but I love everything that Dan does on that channel. I really do. Okay. Everything that Dan does over there, pretty good. These are all the sliced up broccoli stems, and this is the broccoli for the soup itself. And now, let's have a little sip of water. Now, as far as vitamin preserving goes, really the reality is nutritional value is lost the more you cook it and the more it leaches out into the thing that it gets cooked in. Right? You boil it, as long as you don't overcook it in boiling water, then it's not going to lose its nutrients in that either. Okay, one thing I gotta do, I gotta make sure I turn off my heater, because if I don't do this, what's gonna happen is that oven's gonna be at 500 degrees, and it's gonna be so hot, and I'm gonna be sweating like nothing else. Okay, little recap, everybody. On the stove right now, or on the pressure cooker, excuse me, we have the chicken stock for today going. The chicken carcass that we broke down ourselves. I taught you all how to break down a chicken carcass with a little bit of bay leaf and some onion and black pepper. We just chopped up an entire broccoli. I showed you all how to use up the stem. We take off the little tiny stems, and then we peel the big stem, and we slice it up nice and thin so that it can be pureed. And then the broccoli, we've set it up like so that the florets we can throw into a really hot oven and we can char it. And we're gonna get this really nice and crispy. We're going to get a lot of really beautiful roasted flavors out of it. That smells like broccoli. That is just, yeah guys, that is just raw broccoli at the moment. And so we have a couple of other things to do. We need to think about the chorizo. We have to think about the other ingredients. So we have to make the toasted spices. And then we have to actually start sauteing things for the soup as well. And I think in the meantime, the other thing that I want to prep would actually be some carrot. I think one little tiny carrot would be an excellent addition for today's soup. It's going to really help contribute to the texture and to just add a little bit of extra sweetness into the whole deal. So give me a second as I'm taking that out of the fridge. I wasn't originally planning on using a carrot, but I just think it's a welcome addition in something like this. And not much carrot. We're using one carrot. This is like a medium carrot, my friends. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the carrot, and again, you don't really have to wash it if you peel it. And also vice versa. If you scrub it, you don't have to peel it, but I just like peeling it. And again, if you don't have a nice and sharp peeler, go buy yourself one. If you're struggling with some kind of an ancient peeler that feels like it's effort to use, you are making a mistake, go buy a good peeler. There is absolutely no excuse. No excuse. Other than money, I guess. But these are really, really cheap. Everybody deserves to have a nice peeler. Okay? Guess what? Just did the job. No need to struggle. And also, guess what? You heard that beep? that is the sign that the oven is ready to go and preheated. So, everybody, let's talk about this really quick. There's a reason that I put the broccoli into such a big bowl. We're going to have to toss this now. So, first step, a little bit of olive oil. Okay. The olive oil is going to make sure that we're evenly conducting the heat and getting the broccoli nice and crispy. So about a tablespoon or two, I don't fucking know, I'm not measuring. And this is going to also help the salt to stick to the broccoli. We're not adding pepper because we're gonna have the pepper in the soup itself. Now guess what? Watch this. We do a nice big pinch of kosher salt in a second. But first, look at this. When you have a nice big bowl, you can easily toss it and mix it around. The thing that I hate most is seeing people try to mix things on a sheet tray. Mixing things on a sheet tray is a huge mistake. You do that, and you're going to basically get a bunch of unevenly seasoned vegetables. Making sure that it's in a bowl beforehand and tossing it like so is gonna make sure everything is nicely coated. So, that's not enough oil, I can tell you right now. And I'm using olive oil, just because it tastes good. And again, there's no need to be nervous on such a high heat for the olive oil. And this is gonna in total take 20 minutes or so. So, my friends, we're tossing it up and down. We're getting the oil nicely coated. And now, we're gonna take a big old pinch of salt. And we're seasoning it as we're flipping it like this. And this is how you ensure an evenly seasoned broccoli, okay? Now, I don't need to perfectly season this because it's still gonna get pureed and going, it's gonna go into the soup. But this is very functional as well because it's going to, shit, nobody saw that. It's going to also help extract a little bit of water during the cooking. Okay, guess what? Broccoli has now been tossed in the olive oil and in the salt as well. So guess what? We're gonna go on over to the stove. And remember that sheet tray that we had preheating? It's still in the oven. It's really, really nice and hot. And I want you all to listen. Is everybody paying attention? I want to hear the yes, chef. Thank you very much. The sheet tray, really nice and hot. And now guess what? Watch this. We take that hot sheet tray and we pour in all of this broccoli and it's sizzling immediately. Right? It's like we just preheated our pan. That's all that we did. We preheated the sheet tray, we preheated the pan, and now we're putting it back before it even has a chance, before it even has an inkling, a second of thought to cool. And also I messed up my towel. Whoops. I messed up my towel. Oh no, this is the worst outcome imaginable. Okay, come on, buddy. And in you go. And this is gonna take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. We just wanna get it really nice and blackened. Remember, there's not a lot of sugar in the broccoli, okay? There's not a lot of sugar. So we can really char it, we can get a lot of color on it. And we can really, really push it and get it super crispy without it tasting bitter and burnt. We'll build up a lot of really lovely complex flavors that way. Again, 20 minutes in total, 15 minutes in, we're gonna check on it. You don't necessarily have to flip it over. You can if you really want to, it'll make you feel better, but I don't think so. We're just gonna get the bottom nice and crispy. It's gonna be an excellent textural contrast for the soup itself. Okay, my friends? Excellent, glad we're on the same page. Now, let's head back on over to my lovely carrot, and you can hear it sizzle away in the oven at the moment. And remember, we toss things before we put it on a sheet tray. You're not gonna do this the same way that your mom did it. You're not gonna put something on a sheet tray and then try to season it over the top and get a bunch of salt and stuff and all the spices on the sides of it. Also, thank you so much for the bits. I think Twitch is boosting bits or something at the moment, if anybody wants to give me money. Thank you so much, by the way. So, it's in the oven. It's gonna get nice and charred at 500 degrees. We're gonna build up a lot of those really complex flavors, and that stem is gonna get cooked down and become really beautifully sweet. Okay, next up, we have this carrot to chop up, don't we? We sure do. Gloving up yet again because I have eczema, and I wanna protect my hands from any unnecessary moisture. So, again, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is purely so that we can get it cooked in time. Yeah, oh, Serena, me too. I was having so many technical issues, but I finally fixed it. You know what I did? I did the 5G home wireless shit. This is currently running on 5G and not my home internet anymore. And it works great. It actually just works great. I'm able to actually boost the bitrate to 6K now. So, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna try to get nice thin slices. How many times have you tried to get a slice of carrot and you've ended up with something like this, where your knife slips off? Okay? That's because you're chopping it, you're not slicing. You have a nice sharp knife and you're using the full extent of the blade. You're not cleaving this like an axe. You're slicing, my friends. Slice it. Okay? If you do nothing but downwards force like that, it's going to just take a chunk off and not give you a slice. Perfect. Next one. Slice it. Excellent. Slice it. Slice it. Beautiful. And that's how we get nice planks of carrot. And I can hear the broccoli going at the moment. It's going to be great. No, we're actually not going to dice this. We're just going to do a very rough chop on these. Because again, it's all going to get pureed. You don't have to be perfect about this. And what's really nice, by the way, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about a concept that I've dubbed as intentional. Let me try that again. This is a concept that I've dubbed as intentional heterogeneity. So what is intentional heterogeneity? I'll give you an example. Think of something like a very perfect mashed potato. Think of something that's really, really smooth all the way through. It is essentially just baby food. It's just mush. Think of like a French pomme puree. It's just a pure puree. Okay? And so, a lot of people, they really like the texture and the elegance of that, but a lot of people say it's kind of boring to eat and it feels like baby food. Think of something like a smashed potato. Think of like a very home-style mashed potato, where it's just very like roughly mashed up potatoes. And you get some smooth chunks, you get some big chunks, you get some little chunks, but it's kind of all over the place. What I call intentional heterogeneity is essentially having some elements that are purely processed and having some elements that are intentionally left a little bit more whole and unprocessed. In this case of the soup, the broccoli stems, they're going to get pureed until they're basically smooth all the way through. But when we add the florets, we're not going to puree that until it's all the way smooth. It's going to have a little bit of chunkiness to it. And that way, we get like the very elegant silky texture of having fully blended broccoli and carrot, while still remaining a little bit of texture so that it is interesting to the bite. Think about applying this concept to a lot of different things. Intentional heterogeneity. Not just raw, rough heterogeneity, throwing it all over the place, but being very specific with what you're fully processing and what you're not fully processing. Does that make sense, everybody? So, these I'm just going to, it just slipped off. I'm just going to slice these up into some smaller pieces. I'm matching basically the broccoli stems. Right, you don't have to get too crazy with this. Intentional heterogeneity. I try to use this concept as often as I can, okay? Because I don't believe in just having like a single texture of everything be blended like totally smooth, but I also don't believe in not giving a shit about texture altogether, right? And this is the best intersection of that for me. Okay, carrot roughly chopped. Once again, it's all getting pureed, so that's why we don't really care about it. And now, we gotta do the onions. So, we got the onion singular. Want to get like a small to medium dice on the onion. We can slice the onion. We don't even have to dice it. We can just slice it. We're gonna cut the head off. And in fact, we're also gonna cut the root off this time. Okay? Then we're gonna slice it down halfway, like so. Take it, and we take the skin and we can peel it off really nice and easy now. That's one. And that's two. Excellent. And so all I'm gonna do for the onion, I'm first gonna make sure I have a place to put it, actually. All that I'm gonna do for the onion, we're using the full length of our knife, and we're getting slices that are parallel to the grain of the cells. We're not doing these kinds of slices to cut it up into onion rings. We're just getting slices of onion like this. These are ideal for sauteing. And again, I don't care if I'm accidentally chopping some a little thick or thin. It's all gonna get pureed. It's all gonna get blended down. So, that's all finished up. Once again, the handy dandy bench scraper. We can take all of this, pile it on, take the rest of it. Makes my life so much easier. Except for the fact that those kind of fell out. And I can hear the broccoli currently in the oven. It is sizzling away. In about 4 minutes time, we're gonna check on it to make sure it's not charring too much. And if it is, we'll just give it a little flip. So that's the onion, that's the broccoli, and that's the carrot, okay? And that is gonna be the base of the soup. The carrot's gonna add a really nice sweetness. The broccoli is gonna add that broccoli flavor and also some sweetness. And the onion is also gonna add sweetness. It's a little bit redundant, but you know, these are your classic aromatics. They just add like a very base consistent flavor. Okay, carrot is done, broccoli is done, onion is done. Now you have to think about what else is going in. I'm only gonna do, for this amount of soup, I think I'm only gonna do the 1 jalapeno. And we're gonna do seeds in. We wanna keep all the heat inside the jalapeno, okay? So we're cutting that off. And again, it's all gonna get pureed. All that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this whole thing, I'm gonna just slice it up nice and thin. 1 jalapeno, seeds still inside. I want the heat, I want it to bring that warmth into the soup itself. Okay, excellent. Oh, my eyes are watering a little bit from the onions. These I'm just gonna go ahead and throw into a separate little bowl. So I'm staying nice and organized. I can smell the broccoli at the moment. It's charring away, it's getting really beautiful. Okay, and that is almost everything that we actually need to go into the soup itself. We're gonna begin sauteing soon. The next step is going to be the garlic. So let's show you what we have to do with that. Garlic, we have the whole head. I like to do this over a bowl so that any of the papery skins just find their way into the trash bowl and not my cutting board, okay? So that's 1 garlic clove. I want a lot of garlic. I want a generous amount of garlic, okay? Ooh, this one doesn't want to come out today. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5. We'll do about 5 cloves for today. It's not a lot of soup we're making, it's only 1 head of broccoli. So 5 cloves. We did that over the trash bowl so that all the papery skins come off nice and easy. And now we take a garlic clove and we smash it down. We take it, we smash it. We take it and we smash it. And this is gonna help us to peel it off. We're separating the skin from the actual flesh of the garlic itself, my friends. Also, how has the stream quality been? Have there been like any lagging issues? Again, I'm on an entirely new internet that I haven't been using live before. So if there are any, please let me know. Okay, this I should actually just be doing over the bowl. Great, no issues, happy to hear it. Okay, my friends. This is almost all done. Just gonna pop that really dried out part off the bottom. Okay, a couple more. Excellent, and now we're just gonna clean up the cutting board with the bench scraper, get all these garlic skins off. Excellent. Okay, and now we're gonna have another excuse to use my favorite tool, the garlic press. I hate cutting garlic on a cutting board because it just gets sticky and it makes a mess every single time. And it's really inefficient to cut something so tiny with as big as my chef's knife is. So, in a little plate, and a little knife that I can scrape things off with. Oh, I can smell that broccoli. It is charring beautifully at the moment. We're gonna go ahead and take a little peek in a second. Take the garlic clove and press it on in. Excellent. Next one going in. Come on, buddy, you can do it. I know you wanna do this. And in you go. Ugh. Next one. Come on. There you go. Next one. We got a couple more to go, my friends. And then I'm going to show you all what the broccoli looks like in just a second. Okay, excellent. The job seems to be done quite well. I'm gonna go ahead and just poke the holes out with a brush to make sure none of the garlic really dries up or anything on the inside. Excellent. And that, my friends, is a bunch of garlic that's been nicely pressed. Get a brush. All you need is a brush. A brush, and it makes your life so much easier. Okay, let's go to the broccoli. Let's go ahead and pull it out. See how it's charring along? Oh, it's getting nice and crispy. You can tell with the way that it's shrunken up a little bit. These florets are looking excellent. Yeah, that just looks good. Okay. I don't think I even care about flipping them. Yeah, I don't care about flipping them. I'm just gonna go ahead and put these back in. We want these to be deeply charred. 8 more minutes and it's gonna be perfect for us today. It's gonna add a really nice level of char and complexity into the soup today, okay? All right, everybody. We just prepped up all of the vegetables. That's all the vegetables that have now just been completed. Next step is going to be chopping up the chorizo, and we have to think, at what point do we want to add the chorizo into the soup? I have an inclination at the moment. Here's what I'm feeling. I think we should first fry some of the chorizo, and then we should scoop it out and then cook the vegetables in the chorizo fat. I think that's what we should do today. Yeah, I want like a crumbly chorizo texture. I've realized. I don't want any like big slices. I don't want any big pieces. I want a really, really nice crumbly texture. But before we do that, there is one thing we need to quickly do, my friends. And that is to make a really, really nice spice powder for today, which is going to consist of coriander seeds and cumin seeds. So let's do this now. I'm going to show you all how to do this. Let's head back to the stove. Little teeny tiny pan. Look at this cute little pan. You wish that were you. Look at this little guy. Yeah? So, in this little teeny tiny pan, I'm gonna go ahead and dump in a nice, couple of, pinches of cumin seeds. I love cumin seeds. I feel like you can't get enough of them. I want this to be a predominant flavor. Okay? So, cumin seeds going in. And then I want some coriander seeds as well. Let's get some coriander seeds. Now, not as many, because they can get overpowering pretty fast, in my experience. And then some black peppercorns. I'm going to just turn on the heat, and we're going to be essentially moving this the whole time. You can do a small heat, you can do a medium heat, it doesn't really matter as long as you're moving it often. Okay, black pepper, coriander, and cumin. And everybody, this is the beauty of using whole spices. Whenever you grind up something, this is something I like to call destructive prep, destructive processing. Essentially, it takes it from a very stable state into a far less stable state. All of the different aromatics, all the different volatile compounds, once it's been ground up, they will react to both the oxygen and to any sort of light that is exposed on it, and they will lose their taste that much quicker. Having whole spices, having whole cumin, having whole coriander, having whole black pepper, we get to keep all of the flavor inside. We get it toasted up whenever we want to use it, and then grind it up, and we get an excuse to use a mortar and pestle, so it's really, really fun. Okay, you want to move it the whole time just to make sure it's evenly toasting, making sure it's not burning on one side or anything. And we're looking for some very slight wisps of smoke to tell us that it has successfully been toasted. Give it a second, and we just keep moving it. Everybody, whole spices, get into the habit of it. It will be life-changing. Get a dedicated spice grinder if you really want. You don't have to. You can just use a mortar and pestle like I'm about to, because they're really fun and they're really fulfilling for me to use. Okay, I'm almost there. I'm just looking for, again, the slightest little bits of smoke. Okay, that is doing for me what it needs to. So, let's go to the cutting board. Now we're just dumping in all the spices. Okay, and again, you don't really have to clean this thing off because there's nothing in it. We're just gonna cool it off and then put it away. And now, worst mistake you can do, immediately start rotating. Don't do that. First thing you need to do, consider the structure of all of your little pieces. You see these things? If you do this, it's just going to splash around. You need to first crush it. You need to flatten them. Everybody, it's Flat Fuck Friday. Okay? You're gonna go ahead and take your spices and you're gonna turn them into flat little guys. You're gonna flatten them, you're gonna squash them, especially the black peppercorns and the coriander. The cumin seeds you don't have to be so careful with. So we're just getting in there and we're smashing it all first. Right? And now that we've done that, now that we've gone through that effort, guess what? It grinds up. Perfect. Just keep it going, keep it rotating. This is a stone one, so it's nice and coarse on the inside. Oh, all that cumin, all that coriander, all that black pepper. Perfect. Whole spices, my friends. That's where the magic of this kind of dish is. With such simple ingredients, but using whole spices, we can make it really special. Yeah, you wish this was you. Okay. Ooh. Nice and ground up. I don't really think you can over grind this unless you're gonna go ahead and store it after, but don't store it, just use it all up now. Okay, excellent. And now I'm gonna go ahead and take a little dish out and just try my best to pour all of this in. It's heavy, which is a bit of a challenge. Okay. These are all the spices for today. All the cumin, all the coriander seeds, all the black pepper. Excellent. Okay. Great. I'm setting that aside. And by the way, if you have a dedicated dry spice grinder, if you have a dedicated dry mortar and pestle, you don't really have to wash it or anything. All right, everybody. The spices have been toasted. The vegetables have been prepped. Last thing is we're going to have to prep the chorizo. Only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rinse off my knife. And also, by the way, the broccoli is done. We have timed this perfectly. I'm going to wipe off my knife because it is a carbon steel knife. It's time to take the broccoli out. And then we'll prep the chorizo. Okay. Excellent. Let's get the broccoli out. We can turn the oven off. It's done its job. I can smell how charred it is. Excellent. Perfect. That's what I'm talking about. That is a lovely piece of charred broccoli. Again, it's gonna add a bit of smokiness. It's gonna add like that charred complex flavor, but it's not burnt by any means. You can't push other vegetables this far. You can only do this with broccoli because of how little sugar it has. It holds up to this kind of cooking so well. In fact, I'm gonna take a little piece out. Delicious. It's actually just perfect. Okay. That's really, really good. Oh, fuck, that's good. Dude. That is crispy, that is salty. It's almost meaty in a really exciting way as well, which is why I love doing this to broccoli. Can't get enough of it. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and throw all of it into a bowl. And again, we're not gonna really keep a lot of that crispiness because it's all gonna still go into the soup anyways. I'm just gonna go ahead and toss this all into a bowl with my bare hands because it cools down in a second. Man, I need to stop eating this. It's actually just that good. And this is why we don't want the broccoli wet when it goes into the oven. If it's nice and dry, it'll char up beautifully just like this. Okay, now we're at a point where I need to use something else. Okay, to probably scoop the rest of these out. No, I'm gonna keep using my hands. Even if it's a little tedious, I'll be fine. Guys, as a side dish, this is basically just done. You can do a little sauce for it, you can do a little dressing, but it's really just that easy to get. Perfect, crispy broccoli. Just like that. Okay, excellent. Okay. You've never had broccoli prepped the way that you would like it? You want to try this so bad? You should try this so bad. It is crispy. It is perfect. This broccoli is so delicious. You hear that crunch? It's not the crunch of it being raw. It's the crunch of it being properly charred all the way through. Okay. Last step. We have to go through the chorizo now. And we have to separate it from the skin. Because I've realized what I want is some really nice crumbled chorizo. Okay? And I don't think I'm gonna need to use all of that. This is about 1 pound of chorizo in total. I think I'm only gonna want like 1/2 pound for this amount of soup. And the other chorizo, I'm just gonna have it with my breakfast tomorrow. Is what I'm gonna do. I love having chorizo just for breakfast these days. Chorizo, fried egg, maybe a little bit of rice. Do I reuse the aluminum foil? No, I do not. Now, ideally, I should have just done this on a sheet tray without the foil. Is this good chorizo? Asks Dolingo as my family. Yes. Oh, guys, this is my local Mexican supermarket chorizo. This isn't that garbage that I had before. Oh, I'm so happy to never have to use that again. They just ran out the one time I wanted to use it, and it was pretty bad. And I had to go to the supermarket, and it was dog shit. Guys, the state of chorizo in conventional supermarkets is pretty horrific. Go to a Latin grocery store, go to your local Latin market, go to your local Mexican grocery store, and get some locally made fresh chorizo. It doesn't have to even be locally made, but they have the right texture. Look at the texture of this, nice and coarse. That shit that they sell, vacuum sealed in packets, is just wet, and it's nonsense. I hate conventional supermarket chorizo. It is actually inedible. It is inedible. You cannot use it for anything. Get this, and it's also cheaper. It is also just cheaper. Oh, there's no reason not to. This is where it's at. Okay, actually, the fact that we dried it out so much means that this skin peels off really easily. Oh, mostly easily. Come on, pop it out. Excellent. Guys, that supermarket chorizo, it is just night and day. These are not at all comparable. These are not the same product. Oh, that's where it's at. Okay, actually, this just comes off really nicely. Perfect. Drying out the sausage skin really lets you peel it off easily. Okay, this I'm gonna throw into the fridge again. I'm going to have this with my breakfast tomorrow morning, and we only need 1/2 pound of chorizo for today's soup. Okay? I'm gonna grab a little container for it. Actually, I'm just gonna put it in the fridge as is. I'm not gonna overcomplicate this. Just put this into the fridge as is. It'll be perfect. Okay. Okay, my friends, let's have a little recap. Guess what? We have done so much. We've taken the chorizo out of the casing, we've separated the broccoli florets from the stem, and we charred the florets in a 500-degree oven. We chopped up the stems after peeling them, and we mixed it with some carrot. We have some garlic. We have some of this fresh, beautiful cumin, coriander, and black pepper powder. We have some of these onions, and then we also have these jalapenos, and all of that is gonna go into the soup. And at the moment, the pressure cooker has about 22 minutes left on it. So in 22 minutes, we're gonna have a beautiful homemade chicken stock that we made ourselves. Okay? Might have been a little bit redundant just now, but that's okay. And now, I'm gonna take a second to organize. Is everybody following? Is everybody taking notes? And think about, despite the fact that this is such a simple soup, think about all of the technique and all the love that we put in. We're doing broccoli 2 ways. We toasted our own spices. We're taking really good quality chorizo out of the casing. We're making our own stock. We're not fucking around. This is not your overcooked broccoli cheddar soup that you grew up with, that just smelled off and was chunky and gritty. No, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be luxurious. It's gonna be delicious. It's gonna be something very, very special, is what this is gonna be. Okay? I wanna make that abundantly clear to all of you. I'm taking a second to just get stuff behind me. Also, thank you so much to Dirt McNasty for the Prime sub. Everybody, if you can, please sub. I need the money for groceries. Lovely to have you. Holidays are coming up. Get me something nice, please. Okay, that's enough shilling. That's enough of that before I start feeling bad. I'm just putting stuff behind me and I'm getting it ready for when we have to go. And guess what? I think it's actually just cooking time. Yeah, I think it's gonna be time for us to cook now. I'm having a good stream. Thank you, Dope. Really appreciate the sub. Okay. All of the ingredients have been prepped, and now we can begin the actual cooking stage of it all. Let's head to the stove. Let's get the sheet tray out of here. It's still not fully cooled down. I'm just gonna have to get it off, just like this. And now I have to judge, what vessel should we make the soup in? And I have a feeling I'm gonna use my really, really nice Mavier pan. Everybody, this is a clad pan. You wanna heat these things up nice and low and slow. First step is gonna be browning the chorizo. We take the chorizo out, and then we cook the onions. Then we cook the rest of the vegetables. We saute it a little bit, and then we're gonna cook it in the stock and a little bit of milk and blend it all down, okay? So first step, medium heat. You never, ever wanna blast these things with heat. And then a splash of avocado oil just to get it started. Or peanut oil. Use whatever neutral oil that you want. This is just for us to cook the chorizo at the moment. A little splash of it, and we're not blasting it with heat. We're not killing it with heat. We just heat it up nice and low and slow. You never want to blast enamel pans with heat, and you never want to blast empty clad pans with heat. Okay? It damages the interior part over time because this has aluminum inside of it, and it's not just straight stainless steel. It can cause it to warp as well. So if you want to get nice and hot, medium heat, and that way you'll make sure they have a nice evenly coated surface as well. The number one thing that I see people do, here's a huge mistake that people make, especially when they preheat a cast iron. Let me tell you some shit right now. They take a cast iron, they put it onto the heat, and then they turn it up all the way to 10. And then, in about a minute's time, they're like, ooh, this is nice and hot. It is nice and hot, but there's an issue. You wanna know what the issue is? It's not evenly heated. You're gonna have hot spots. Carbon steel, same exact thing, to chess. You can do it on that high of a heat, or alternatively, medium heat for 5 to 6 minutes. For something like a cast iron or a carbon steel pan if you want it super hot. Okay? Low and slower, medium and slow in this case. And you'll get an evenly heated surface. People do that to their cast irons, people do that to their pans, and the center of it, or maybe the ring around it will be hot, but you'll have spots that basically are completely cold and food is just gonna stick to it. Okay? It takes time for it to evenly heat up. Don't forget that. Do not forget that. Is that clear? Okay. I'm just gonna throw away the foil. I'll put away the sheet tray in a moment. I'm actually just gonna have that go back into the hot oven and cool down with the oven. It's fine. Okay. So, here's the order of operations. First step for us is going to be cooking up the chorizo, my friends. We're gonna cook up the chorizo so that we can get all the fat out of it, and then cook the rest of the vegetables in said fat. If it's not enough fat, we'll add butter enough to compensate. Then, we take the chorizo out. We're going to add in the onions. We're gonna really, really cook up those onions. Okay? And then we're gonna add the rest of the vegetables, and we're gonna add in the stock once that's ready in about 18 minutes or so. It's gonna be excellent. Just putting some stuff away. Remember, everybody, clean as you go and make your life easier for yourself. In this pan, that all we did was just heat up the spices, nice and clean. We don't have to do anything crazy with it. And now, I want to be preemptively setting up my station. I don't have coasters. I don't like coasters too much. I just use a plate. Okay? And that's just ready to go for us. The spoon is ready. We're going to mix it all up. It's going to be good stuff. Getting that oil nice and hot for the chorizo. And I'm going to fill up some more water for myself. I do apologize for the lack of streams lately. Also, everybody, I will have a new holiday schedule because I have some stuff going on and some dates. We're going to have a lot of really exciting streams coming up. We're going to be doing like a Christmas Sunday, rather Christmas Eve, I think the 24th. We're going to do like a noon stream that day. I'm going to have a schedule posted. Now the question is, what is the best place for you all to see the schedule? I was thinking, it's already on Twitch. It's already, like, if you go to my Twitch schedule, it should all be there. I was thinking of putting it as like my offline graphic, right? Because when you go offline on Twitch, it shows a graphic. And I was thinking about posting it in the Discord. And if you haven't joined the Discord, type in exclamation mark and do so. Exclamation mark Discord, that is. So what is the best place for that information to hit you? And then once the holidays are over with, we'll go back to the scheduled Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Okay? Discord is currently acting up. Great. Well, join the Discord. It's all gonna work out. So, oil's getting nice and hot, my friends. We're gonna give it another second or so of heating up. And then we're gonna add in the chorizo. Okay? Wait, is this going down? Really? Like all of it? Oh, there's an outage. Oh no. Well, that's tough for them. Okay, my friends, guess what? The chorizo is about to go into the pan. The oil got nice and hot, and because we did a low and slow heating, it evenly heated. And we preserved the interior part of the pan. So, chorizo, going in now. And we're going to just break it up while we have a second, because it's not cooking yet. We want to get this into little chunks, which is kind of hard because of how dried it is, I suppose. But again, I want nice crumbles of chorizo for today's soup. Okay, we're going to give it a second and we're going to continue mashing it up. Last time I made the mistake of cooking it too much. I want nicely crumbled chorizo. Is that clear? So we're going to go under. We're going to get some nice leverage on our pan. And again, because of how long this has actually sat, the chorizo has lost a little bit of moisture in the past 2 days. It's no problem at all. I think I'm going to try once again. I've seen people use, no, it's not, potato masher is not going to do it. We just got to get in there, and we got to crumble all of this up. Crumble it up, my friends, crumble it up. Get the job done. The last thing you want is pieces of chorizo that are so big that they'll just occupy the entirety of your spoon. We want the fat to render out of it. We want it to get nice and even. Oh, I'm going to put a glove on because it's getting a little hot over there for me. By the way, everybody, I'm really sorry about the fact that this is the first stream that we've had since last week Friday. The shit on Wednesday was really disastrous in terms of like technical difficulties. But that should all be over now, I hope. I have something a lot more reliable now. The home wireless 5G stuff, I'm really happy about it so far. I'm going to continue using it in the future. Okay, break up all the chorizo, my friends. Break it up. Keep it going. That's what I'm talking about. That's the stuff. And you don't want to blast it with heat. Remember, the chorizo itself, it's filled with spices. Okay? If you try to blast this with heat now, you're going to burn all the spices before we even have a chance to cook it all the way through or render the fat out. Okay? The number one mistake that I see people do all the time, they try to saute everything on the highest heat possible. Remember, everybody, this is a very important understanding that you have to build right now. To brown something, it is a relationship between heat and time. Browning things does not always mean you crank the heat up to high, you pour in a shit ton of oil, and then you throw it in there and you're constantly mixing it. As long as you give it the proper time, things will brown. I promise you. Starting at around 275 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe, is when the mild reaction technically begins. But it's really important, and people mess this up all the time. If we did a super high heat on the chorizo, we wouldn't get the kind of crust that we wanted. We just would not. We'd burn the spices, we'd get it a little bit too dark before the fat was melted out of anything. Gentle, my friends, gentle. So, we're continuing to crumble it up. We're getting it down into little teeny tiny chunks. Excellent. It's looking really good. Give it a little stir, and we're continuing to chop it all up. Whew. I'm really excited about today's soup. I wanted this on Wednesday, but alas, I didn't get so lucky. So we're having it today instead. Okay. That should be all the big chunks. I'm just continuing to go through it all. Make sure I get some of the medium-sized ones as well. Although they're not as big of a priority. Oh, excellent. And you can see all the fat that's cooking in. All that beautiful chorizo fat, my friends. What am I cooking? I am cooking a chorizo broccoli cheddar soup with charred broccoli. Everything cooked down nice and sweet. Look at it. Look at all of that fat coming out of this chorizo. Guys, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you cannot find a local Latin grocery store near you, if you cannot find a local Mexican supermarket near you, Do not buy the conventional supermarket vacuum sealed wet chorizo that comes in like a little plastic bag. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you have a nice butcher, if you have a nice Latin grocery store near you, go get that. If it's the packaged, vacuum sealed shit that's just wet, it'll never get any color on it. It'll just be a mess. It is not real chorizo. It is just not. It is not the same product in the slightest. Look at the way that this is browning up. Look at the beautiful granularity of it. This is a real chorizo, my friends. Filled with pork fat, filled with pork organs. I forgot what part of the pork is required for something to be a chorizo. Like a real chorizo, it's made with like either like a gland or something like that. But that is a beautiful, beautiful sausage. I promise you. We're cooking it down. We're building up some really nice color on it. We're frying the chorizo in its own fat. And these crumbles, they're just gonna go into the stew, into the soup, once it's all finished. Beautiful. I'm really excited about this. Oh, I love cooking chorizo. I'm gonna have a little taste. That's what I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have a little taste of that chorizo, my friends. Trust me, everybody, the thing you need to remember the most, you have to use what is available for you. If in your area you have a butcher that doesn't make chorizo, get the next sausage that they have. This is not a recipe. I'm not teaching you a recipe. I'm teaching you technique. And I know where the technique starts with getting good ingredients. If you don't have good sausage near you, I don't recommend cooking with sausage. That is not one of those things that are forgivable in my mind. There's a lot of ingredients that can really transform and make special, but shitty sausage is really difficult to actually make good again. I really think it's very, very difficult to give it a lot of life. Use what you have locally available to you. Use what you have around you. Get creative, okay? But don't make this if you don't have access to a local Latin grocery store or if your supermarket doesn't carry good quality chorizo. Do not make it. It's not worth making. I promise you right now. Okay? Make it with a different sausage or just abstain from it. Get bacon or something. I don't fucking know. This is not a recipe. This is all technique. And this is all theory that I'm trying to teach you. Okay? So, the chorizo is going. And now this is where it really, really starts to brown. This is where it's really ejecting all of that fat. Oh, I want to have a little taste. I think Daramgar has earned a little taste of this chorizo. Yeah? Excellent. Now, that's not to say that you only need to go get the best ingredients. Here's the reality. Especially if you live in the United States, you need to come to the conclusion, you need to understand that the ingredient quality for most things is going to be pretty shit. Because of how messed up our relationship to agriculture is and the accessibility of it, good ingredients are really expensive here. In this case, this chorizo was not expensive for me. This was at my local Latin grocery store that I was able to go ahead and pick it up and use it. Okay? But there's a lot more forgiving ingredients that if they're not so good, you can still make them taste amazing and give them a lot of love. Okay? This is not me trying to be elitist and say only use the best of the best. It is not realistic to do that in the United States. It is just not. But this was available to me. This is a really good product around me and I'm taking advantage of it. Take advantage of what you have around you. Okay? Oh, look at all that fat. Look at all that beautiful chorizo fat, my friends. Excellent. And you know why we're able to get the chorizo fat without burning it? Because we went medium and slow. We're slowly frying this in its own fat, slowly but surely. We're not rushing it. We're not rushing this process. Okay? I love chorizo so much. Chorizo just makes me so happy. I love Mexican food. I love chorizo. You just can't go wrong. Okay, we're gonna give that a few more seconds and we'll pull it out. Again, we don't want to build up too much fond. We still want to be able to comfortably fry the onions and all that fat. We want to get some browning on the onions, okay? Okay, my friends. Let's go and take a look. Oh, beautiful, gorgeous, delicious chorizo. That is what I'm talking about. That's the good stuff. Okay, that has now rendered a proper amount of fat for me. Okay, That is the best. That is perfect. We're scraping up everything that we can. Okay? Now, I am just going to go ahead. I'm going to shut the heat off for now. And I'm going to go ahead and take this little pasta tool, I guess it's technically. I'm going to go ahead and dump it all in. So, you just bought 2 whole turkeys. Don't go as my family. Make a turkey stock. Break it down, spatchcock it, roast the turkey, make a turkey stock. You can make a delicious turkey soup that way. Always, you bought whole turkeys, use the bones. Make a lovely stock, my friends. Use what you have. Make a turkey soup, it's time. You're gonna make the best turkey soup that there is. Now, you don't have to use all the meat, but you can make a delicious stock that way. Okay, actually, what I think might be better is if instead of this, I go and I take like a strainer and I just dump the whole thing out and I save the oil. That might be the best way to go about this. So I take like this, strainer. I'm gonna go like take a bowl, something that's like a little bit bigger. I'm just gonna dump the whole thing out. Never made your own stock before? It's time to learn. It's time to learn. Trust me, stock, there's no way to really mess it up. There's a lot of ways to do it. If you have a pressure cooker, I recommend doing it my way. You don't have to do it that way at all. This is purely an adjustment I make for the cooking streams. Okay. Actually, yeah, that's a lot easier. Guess what? We're able to get all the chunks, all the solids out. And then we get to save all of that delicious chorizo fat to cook everything else in. And we're scraping up the bottom. We don't want any of those little bits of chorizo to burn, and we don't really want to blend any of that chorizo either. Okay, this is the pot. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it off. I'm gonna grab a little paper towel. I'm gonna wipe off the edge of it. Well, you know what? You don't have to use all your bones to it now. You can freeze some. Well, what I prefer doing is just freezing the stock. Make a bunch of stock, freeze some, use as much as you need for the soup. Okay, guess what? Look at this chorizo. And look at all of that oil that came out of it. Okay, you see that oil? That is what we're gonna cook the onions in. Dump all of it back in, my friends. All of it's gonna get nicely blended into the soup. Don't worry about this being too oily. We need that fat. We just need it. Okay? So, we're gonna take this here, and we're gonna put it back onto the heat. And we're gonna throw the onions in just a moment's time. I have no use for this tool anymore. Yeah, I realized just dumping it out was a lot easier for me in the long run. We're heating that oil back up. We're getting it nice and hot. It's filled with the chorizo fat. It's filled with the spices, my friends. That stuff is no joke, okay? And we're keeping all of the burnt bits on the bottom of that bowl, and we're gonna toss it away because we don't need that stuff. Okay. And over here, if we go ahead and take a look, go take a look. I want you to look at this. This is all of the crispy chorizo, my friends. Crispy, fried, beautiful chorizo. It's done a job. It's given us the fat. With this fried chorizo, it is perfect. Oh, I fucking love chorizo, man. I really do. It is just my favorite. Oh, I miss this so much. I haven't had this in a couple of weeks because my local store ran out of it. And then I had to buy supermarket chorizo, and it was so bad. It was so bad. It was inedible. Well, it was inedible. I made a gut, but this is the real stuff right here. Okay, back to the stove. Back to the stove. One of my hairs got in my mouth. Oh no. Oil, getting it nice and hot now. And now, my friends, we dump in the onions. Okay? We're gonna cook the onions in all of this fat. We're gonna scrape up everything. Get the onions going. Excellent. And guess what? The stock is also almost done. Look at it. It's picking up all of the fat. And now it's gonna fry in that fat. It's gonna be excellent. We wanna get some good color on the onions. Look how stained orange it became. That's all the dissolved spices from the chorizo, my friends. And hear that beeping? The stock is also finished. We're gonna give it a second. We're just gonna leave that stock alone for a little bit. We're gonna strain it out later. Okay? Actually, I could theoretically start straining now, but we'll see. Oh, look at that. Excellent. And here's the thing. You don't really have to worry about salting at this stage because all of this stuff that's currently in the pot is going to get blended up. It's going to get blended up. It's going to have a bunch of cheese added to it. So we do not know how much salt this is going to need until later on. Okay? You can evenly and easily season things that are perfectly pureed. We don't have to worry about salt at this stage. We just do not. We just don't. We do not have to. Remember, the chorizo is salty, the charred broccoli is salty, and the cheese is salty too. If we add salt now, we can't control it. It's the same reason we didn't salt the stock. We just don't know how much we're going to need later on. So, at the moment, the onions frying in that fat, collapsing in texture. They're gonna make the whole soup so nice and sweet. Oh, beautiful. We're just looking to reduce them a little bit. We're looking to collapse them in texture and boil out some of that liquid and build up color. Frying the onions. Oh, this is gonna be such a good soup. Okay, and so here's the order of operations, everybody. Yes, you cannot unsalt this. The only way you can unsalt something, good point, coffee. You can only unsalt something by diluting it, okay? By adding more things into it. So, everybody, let's have a little recap session. For anybody that might just be tuning on in, let's talk about everything that we've accomplished so far. At the moment, in my pressure cooker, I have made a homemade chicken stock. We broke down a whole chicken. We took a broccoli for the broccoli soup. We cut off the florets off of it. And then we separated the stems. We peeled the stems and we chopped it up. The florets, we charred in a 500-degree oven. Crispy, salty, delicious. Then, we had a bunch of chorizo, which we just cooked up. We got all that fat out of the chorizo. This, my friends, is perfectly crispy. Delicious, locally made chorizo. Okay? Over here, I have some carrots and the broccoli stems. We peeled them to get rid of the fibrous bit. Okay? And we're gonna saute it alongside the onions in a little bit. Then, we're not using shitty pre-ground spices. We're using whole, toasted spices, cumin, coriander, and black pepper. We toasted it and we ground it up ourselves. Okay? We have some garlic that we pressed out. We have some jalapeno for the heat. This soup is no joke. And it's gonna have cheddar cheese and a little bit of American cheese and milk and some sodium citrate added to it to get a nice, delicious, silky texture. It's gonna be an incredible soup, is what this is gonna be. I'm not playing around. I'm not messing around today. Okay, back to the stove. The onions currently frying in all of that chorizo fat, getting so much color, getting so much flavor developed. We want fried onions, my friends. We don't want everything here to be boiled. We want to really deeply brown it. Let me talk to you for a second about one of my biggest culinary pet peeves. Let me talk to you about something. How many times have you turned on a cooking show? Let's say a cooking show. Let's say it's Miss Rachel Ray with her non-stick fucking Rachel Ray collection. I want everybody to tap in. Are you listening? Say yes, chef. That's what I thought. Okay. Rachel Ray and her non-stick cookware. Splash of olive oil, some evu, as she would say. And she's like, ooh, it's time to brown the onions. And she puts the onions into the pot and she cooks it for 2 minutes. She cooks it for 2 minutes and it's like, okay, now we're gonna add everything else in. I'm sorry, she said that we're gonna brown the onions. Remember, sauteing things and building up color and building up flavor is a relationship between both heat and time. You can look at her vegetables and they're just barely sweated. They have no color, they're not fried at all. They're not sauteed and they're not browned. You know what it is? It's glorified, boiled vegetables, but makes you feel better about it. That's all that it is. If you want to boil your vegetables, that's fine. Just put it all into the hot water. But if you're actually going to properly fry the vegetables, I say fry it. Actually, brown it. Okay? If you're going to do it right and give it the time. Give it the time and give it the love. So, onions are going. Give it a little stir because remember, it's going to get quite black on the bottom. Onions are really, really sweet. They have a lot of sugar. We're frying up the onions. We're getting the actual caramelized flavors. Not fully caramelized onions, but we're just getting a pretty quick, pretty like browned outside on the onion. We're scraping up the bottom to make sure none of the bits remain. Oh, beautiful stuff, huh? Excellent. I'm not messing around when it comes to the kitchen. You don't have to fry things. You can just boil it. But the worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, is put some olive oil in a pot and then just cook it for like a minute and then put things into it. You've just wasted everybody's time, including your own. Okay? Understand why you're doing the things that you do. Understand why you're doing the things that you do. Proceed in the kitchen with intentionality. Don't just do things because people tell you to do it. Ask, why am I doing this step? Let me tell you something right now. I would argue that of all of the creative industries, of all of the creative practices in the world, cooking is one of them that is filled with the most amount of misinformation by people that are constantly trying to sell you something. It is filled with bad actors. It is filled with people who actually don't know what they're talking about, but will do so in an attempt to be more profitable and to be more sellable. If you don't know something, it's a very basic concept. You shouldn't pretend to know it. And in this case, any recipe that tells you saute something for 1 minute is fucking lying to you. It was written by somebody who does not know what they're doing. You cannot just saute something for a minute. You've done nothing. You've wasted all of your time. Everybody, question why you're doing the things you do and approach things with a certain level of intentionality. We're frying these onions properly. Also, welcome in Simple Flips. Hope you're having a good day today. You've walked in right in time for my angry rant about how cooking is just filled with bad actors, especially cooking content. Also, thank you. Ugh, I was getting quite upset about it. Simple Flips, I still haven't forgiven you. I'm kidding. Welcome in. Happy to have you. Okay, look at these onions, my friends. They're picking up color beautifully. They're actually frying. These are not just glorified boiled onions. Okay? We're putting a lot of love. And now the next step is going to be the carrots and the broccoli stems. Yeah, everything, that's just the way that I talk, Simple Flips. I'm just going to call you Simp. I exclusively talk in angry rants. That's all that I know how to do. Okay, the onions we gave a head start because we wanted to build up some proper color on it. Beautiful. Next. Broccoli stems and carrots going in now. Remember, we peeled the broccoli stems so that we get rid of all the fibrous bits. And we slice up the carrot nice and thin. Don't worry about it being a perfect cut. We just want it to cook it a little bit, and then we're going to puree it all. We're going to put this away. And again, anybody that's just joining in, we're making a broccoli chorizo soup. It's going to be excellent. So, I just saw something. Let me see. I'm now 100% convinced I chose the right Twitch account to give my prime. I like the spirit. Why, thank you. It's very sweet of you. Who's my least favorite chef? Least favorite celebrity chef? Gordon Ramsay. Easily. Fucking hate that guy. Do I think a meal of only caramelized onions is appropriate? Listen. It's a lot of sugar, but God bless. We're mixing this up. We're making sure the onions on the bottom don't burn now. They've gotten some good color. Now it's time to give everything else a bit of a chance too. We got to give the broccoli stems and the carrots some love, my friends. We're sauteing it all. It's going to be good. We're trying to get a little bit of color on those. Maybe not so much this time, but we're just cooking out any excess liquid, and then we're going to fry the garlic and fry the spices in there. Okay? So, remember, at the same time, the chicken stock that we made in the pressure cooker has completed. It's been slowly releasing pressure, but now I'm actually just going to do a quick pressure release and come back to it in a second. I do love Anthony Bourdain. I take a lot of inspiration from him. I want to do what he does. Well, he did, rather. Maybe not travel food, but assembling a really special team like that, that's what I want to do in 5 to 10 years. I'll get it done. Okay. Broccoli stems, onions, carrots. They're frying up. We're getting some good color developed. We're just trying to get rid of any excess liquid as well inside of the vegetables. And it's cooking, and not just any fat, it's cooking in chorizo fat. We fried the chorizo, we have all the beautiful fat. Oh, we made it on toasted spices. Oh, it's gonna be a good soup today. Let me take it in a second. Whew. getting a little bit more color developed. We're just stirring it every so often and make sure that the onions that are closest to the bottom aren't the ones that are burning the fastest. I think I should have maybe, in retrospect, maybe not having them in slices, maybe just having them in little pieces, might have allowed them to brown a little bit easier. They would have come into contact. Okay. Don't really make me think I should change careers to be a chef, says Banker of Doom. Well, I'm very flattered. But remember, what I am doing now is not being a chef at all. In fact, I would actually argue that to me personally, being at least like the way most people think of a chef, a sous chef, a prep cook, it's not the kind of food that I want to be doing. Because it's a lot of repetition, and it's a lot of monotony, and there is so much waste in that industry. There's so much food waste that actually happens. So, I don't want to be a chef. I want to teach people how to cook. Right? I want to be able to inspire people. I want to be able to eat really, really good food. And I want to teach people how to cook in a very meaningful way, in a very intentional way, with a lot of theory. But being a chef isn't actually particularly glamorous. It's kind of long hours and not that much money in it either. To me, it's not very creatively fulfilling. And it's why I'm not pursuing that as my outlet for food. What I want to do is teach people how to cook. How's the stream connection stuff? Devin, it's been fantastic so far. It's been actually great. The 5G wireless is so good. Wait, do I have a follow only food message? Oh, I'm sorry that I forced you to follow. Devin is happy. It's good to have you. I didn't realize that was my setting for chat. That's funny. Get fucked. Yes, that's a lot of time commitment. Remember, sous chefs are not the majority of chefs. That's like definitely like a ladder that you have to climb, but that's like a life that you're dedicating yourself to. That's not something I'm particularly willing to do. Okay. But yeah, no, the stream has been extra stable. It's been excellent. Okay, the broccoli stems, the carrot, and now, my friends, the chicken stock is also ready to go. Okay? It's finished pressure cooking. It's finished releasing all of its pressure. And now, we can go ahead and take all the pieces out. We can ladle it out. It's going to be excellent. So, I'm going to show you all my lovely little chicken stock in just a second. And get it out of the pressure cooker. And it's not necessarily the most concentrated chicken stock, right? Because we did about like 2.5 quarts of water to one chicken. But it is still a very nice looking chicken stock. Nice and golden. And we kept that onion whole. We kept that onion intact so that we can easily fish it out, right? So that it doesn't just like break up and make our stock really, really cloudy or anything. Okay, my friends. We're going to give this a few more minutes. The broccoli stems and the carrot, that is. And then we're going to add, actually, we'll do the jalapenos now. That's your cooking level? Well, I have a question for you then. What's your tag again? Mega, what is it? Mega goofball. I have a question for you. Do you have access to something that's not a microwave? Or do you just have other stuff? I'm just curious what your cooking setup is like and what your like time commitment is and what your willingness is. Okay, jalapenos are in there. We want to get some color on that as well. We want to cook that down a little bit. I've noticed restaurants in my area changing their menus weekly would provide a challenge to keep things fresh. Yes, I do love weekly rotating menus, but they're very difficult to upkeep. And again, there's still a lot of waste that goes into kitchens. I use a rice cooker. I'm Asian, haha. I love rice cookers. Love them. I don't use a rice cooker because I make the best stovetop rice that there is. I've never felt the need to actually get one because if anybody's actually watched my streams, you'll see how consistently perfect the texture on my rice is without a rice cooker. I can do that with any type of rice. I love teaching it. I love talking about it. Okay. We're keeping this going. And soon enough, we're going to add the garlic and the toasted spices. Remember, everybody, we made our own homemade chicken stock. It's beautiful. I'm going to show you guys that right now. With bay leaves, with onions, and with a whole chicken carcass that we broke down ourselves. Okay, and a little bit of black pepper in there as well. We took a bunch of chorizo, okay? We took a bunch of chorizo, and we fried it up, and we got the fat out of it. And in that fat, in that same exact fat, is cooking the onions, the carrot, the broccoli stems, The broccoli florets, we save them. We set them aside and we charred them in a 500-degree oven because I want to get both like the sweet flavors out of the broccoli and the really charred ones. And then we had all of these lovely toasted spices, the cumin, the coriander, and the black pepper. We toasted it and ground it up ourselves. So there's a lot of flavor going into everything. We're not skimping on any of the flavor here, okay? Okay. This is almost done. We're gonna go ahead and add in the garlic, and then we're gonna add in the spices. And we're gonna let it all cook. So garlic in now. We're gonna fry that up nicely. This is what is most susceptible to burning. So here's what you wanna do. You wanna put it in. You wanna get your ladle of stock ready, because that's gonna go in soon. We're not gonna strain it out, we're just gonna ladle from the top. You can smell the frying garlic. Excellent. And then, my friends, all of the toasted spices, huh? The cumin, the coriander, and the black pepper. It's gonna add so much flavor. We're not using pre-ground spices, whole spices. They have so much flavor to add. They're so much more shelf stable. And we're frying it in the oil for just a second. Okay. This is almost done. Excellent. And I can smell that. The garlic is now properly fried. We don't want the garlic to burn and we don't want the spices to burn. So in goes about a couple of cups of the chicken stock, my friends. We're going to do 2 big ladlefuls of that. Going in now. Excellent. We're going to scrape everything up, and we also have to add in some milk. Okay? We're going to do about the same amount in milk. So 2 cups of that. Okay? We're being very imprecise here. But before we do that, I have to figure out how much sodium citrate I need. So sodium citrate is going to help keep all of this together, and it's going to stop it from splitting. Okay. Yes, you are correct in thinking that, Banku. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think really quickly. I need about 4% of my weight in cheese. So that's, okay, we're gonna do a couple of teaspoons of sodium citrate. Maybe like half a tablespoon, something like that. And again, the sodium citrate is gonna help keep all of this stuff together. Okay. Okay, so the ratio is about 1 teaspoon per pound of cheese or so. I'm gonna do a little bit more than that just to be really, really sure that it comes out okay. So this is about a teaspoon or 2 of sodium citrate. We're gonna mix it in and we're gonna add the milk. Sodium citrate in now. And now we're gonna add a couple of ladles of milk, okay? And this has to then cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. Again, the sodium citrate is when we melt the cheese into this. It's gonna help keep all of it together. It's also gonna help keep the milk together and stop the milk from splitting as well. So we're gonna do we're gonna do 1 of these of milk. We're gonna do something like that of the milk. And we're gonna mix it on in. Excellent. And now, we don't wanna boil this so aggressively. We risk splitting the milk that way. But because we added the sodium citrate, theoretically, it should keep everything a little bit more together. And this is the base for the soup. Bring it up to a boil, drop it to a simmer, and we're gonna cook it for 15 minutes. Okay? Yes, it's gonna make the cheese melt in really, really nicely. We're gonna cook this all for about 20 minutes in total, once it comes up to a boil. So, everybody, I need you to understand. The broccoli, the charred broccoli, it's going to get added in a little bit later on. We're going to do 2 stages of blending. Once this has cooked, and once it has softened, okay, it's going to get blended down into a perfect little puree. we're gonna add the cheese, and then we're only gonna half blend in the broccoli florets themselves. Okay? And the reason we're doing that is because we want to have textural variation. But again, this concept of intentional heterogeneity. Intentional. Something that I see people do when they say, oh, I want a puree, they make the entire thing. Let's say we blended up all these ingredients together. And we'll get such a perfect puree that it's going to be like baby food. Other people, they have a half puree where they just basically mash stuff up. And it's heterogeneous, but it can be a little bit lumpy. All of this mixture, all the milk, all of the fat, all of the stuff that's actually going into the soup itself, it's going to be blended until perfectly smooth. And then we're only going to half blend the charred broccoli florets and add in the chorizo chunks. So that we have a very intentional, very smooth, silky texture, but not so that it feels like baby food. Okay? Intentional heterogeneity. It's controlled. All right, I'm putting away my sodium citrate. I don't think I need this anymore. The stock I'm just going to have on the stove. I'm going to put away my strainer and stuff. I just want to go ahead and clean as I go. Make sure I don't have to do that make sure I don't have to do that after I'm done. Cleaning as you go is one of the most important things that you can do to cook at home. Okay, my friends? You feel like you recognize my voice from something? Well, that's a good question. Do you watch any esports? Do you watch any esports, Banker? Okay, guess what? This is now boiling. It's going, it's doing its thing. And don't worry, see how the fat is rising to the top? I'm pretty sure the cheese, and once this is all blended down, it's going to take care of it nicely. Drop it back down to a simmer, 20 minutes. So, it has the chorizo. It has the chorizo fat. It has the garlic. It has the toasted spices. It has the broccoli stems, carrot, onion. Okay, it's delicious. And it also has the jalapenos. It's all going to cook down. It's going to get delicious. Just a gentle, gentle simmer, my friends. Very gentle. If it's too high, it's going to split the milk. And we don't want that. But if it's too low, it's not going to cook the broccoli. So nice, gentle little balance. And then we can get talking about the cheese. No, so sodium citrate. So I'm not 100% confident, so that's a good question that you've asked me, not now, 8:05. Sodium citrate is an emulsifying salt. It's going to help prevent the cheese from splitting into its protein and fat rising to the top. It's going to help it stay smooth and silky in a nice sauce. Now, as for how it physically works, that's a good question. I'm not an expert on it, but this is how American cheese is made. And let me tell you something right now. American cheese gets a really bad rap. Everybody says, oh, American cheese is... Oh, let me do a French accent. Oh, le American cheese is plastic cheese, is fake cheese. Okay, that's enough of my French accent, okay? So, it's not really true. American cheese in reality, in addition to a bunch of fillers, it has plenty of fillers, sure, okay? What it really is a mixture of jack cheese and cheddar cheese held together by sodium citrate and also I think something called hexaphosphate and a couple of starches and fillers. I don't care for the starches and fillers. However, let me tell you something right now. All that American cheese is a blend of existing cheeses. If you go to very nice modern delis, right, especially like modern cheese shops, let's say you live in New York, there's, a whole bunch of them. What they will have is like more of an artisanal American cheese. And all that is a combination, it's a house-made blend of cheeses held together by sodium citrate and a couple of other things. All that American cheese is a bound and blended cheese that stays together when it melts. Don't talk shit about American cheese. It's really, really beautiful stuff. Trust me, it melts really, really well, okay? Don't sleep on it. It has a lot of love to give. It has a lot of potential. And you can make it yourself at home. Go buy some sodium citrate online. It's very easily accessible on Amazon. You literally need water and any kinds of cheese that you want. Look up existing ratios and play with it yourself. You can use literally whatever cheeses you want and make your own blended American cheese. And all that means is that it stays together when it melts. It's incredible stuff. Look at this, simmering away, beautiful. We gotta grate up that cheese, my friends. Excellent. We're gonna get the carrots soft, we're gonna get the broccoli soft, it's gonna become an excellent puree. Okay. then Kraft Singles, it's just filled with a bunch of filler components. At its core, American cheese is a very beautiful product. It is a really, really beautiful product. It has so much potential. It is a structure. It is something to think about. Okay, let's head back to my overhead camera. So, we gotta grate that cheese. We got cheddar cheese and we have some white American cheese. You can use whatever you want. To me, the white American cheese is kind of essential for the texture. Okay? I'm gonna open up my cheeses from the plastic. I have a whole block. Go to the deli section, get a nice chunk of cheese. You see this bad boy? This is just some white American cheese, not cut into slices. It looks like cheddar, but it's gonna melt up beautifully. Okay. I'm gonna grab a glove, and we gotta have a nice plate or a nice bowl to put all the grated cheese on. I'm gonna do a plate. Okay, my friends, let's glove up. And you want to keep that cheese cold. If it's too soft, put it in your freezer for like 20, 30 minutes. I love to do that with mozzarella cheese and feta cheese especially. Before I cut up mozzarella, I always freeze it. Before I cut up feta cheese, I always freeze it beforehand. Always, always, always. And that's how you stop it from spreading around your cutting board. How much white American is that? Good question. I don't know. Also, hello to Dr. Slowbro. Welcome on in. How to grate cheese? Good question. I'm going to show you something. This is unconventional. This is something that people are doing a little bit more recently. This is how traditionally people would grate cheese, and it would fall down to the bottom, and it would be really annoying to pick it back up. And then you also have to constantly lift it over and over. So here's what I do. Here's what I do. I take it, I stand at a 45-degree angle, right? Prep my body, and we just push, and we push, and we just push, like we're using a mandolin. Wait, why do you disagree with the assessment of American cheese not now? Look at this. And guess what? It keeps it all in the grater so that when you just dump it out, it slides out like this. That is not mozzarella. This is a white American cheese. That's a white American cheese. Not a yellow one, it's a white one. Ugh. But yes, American cheese can be made out of anything that you want. If you have sodium citrate at home, you can make your own custom cheese blends, and it gets really exciting that way. There's so much creative potential there. Okay, just dump it out, nice and easy. You see how neat this is? Yeah, we just gotta keep all of it together. Just pushing it all the way through. I'm gonna go ahead and give that a little stir just to make sure that the milk isn't splitting or anything. Excellent, it's just going. And that's gonna make an excellent puree, my friends. And when we whisk that cheese in, it's gonna be even better. Okay, a little bit more of this stuff. Again, I don't know how much I'm using. I'm using maybe like half a pound of each or so. Maybe a little less than half a pound. No, I think each of these are half a pound. I'm using like in total 10 ounces of cheese. Look, here's what's gonna happen. If I need more cheese later, I need more cheese. All right, I'm gonna stop in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Ugh. Okay, that should be perfect for the American. And then we also have some cheddar. Blender microwave. Ooh. What do you mean, Cream? What does that mean? I don't know what you mean by that. What did you just say to me? Okay, and guess what? Once again, my friends, take a look. We take it and we can just dump it all out onto the plate. Just like that. And that's why I love doing it horizontally. It makes picking it up, it makes cleaning up so much easier. Okay, and then, this is a half-pound block of cheddar. A little bit more than that. We're just gonna go ahead and grate some of this up. Remember, what broccoli cheddar soup is, classically, it's just a lot of cheddar and very little broccoli. So this amount of cheese is very appropriate. Okay. Getting the job done. I love cheddar so much. We're gonna keep this going. We're almost done. Again, I'm not really measuring how much I'm using. I'm just sticking to like around 10 ounces or so. And remember, the sodium citrate. The sodium citrate is gonna keep it all together, okay? That's how we stop it from splitting. Is cheddar American? Ooh, I think, okay, if you're talking about origin, it's British. Is cheddar American cheese? No, it's not American cheese in the sense that this is just a pure block of cheese. There's nothing else, or there shouldn't be anything else in it. Aside from your regular cheese making ingredients, right? Your enzymes just to separate things, right? Okay. We're gonna do a little bit more and then we'll call it a day. And so this is also what's gonna be, that thickens the soup. It is British. It is, I think cheddar is British technically in origin. Although I might be mistaken. Wisconsin in particular is quite famous for its cheddar, but I don't know if there was any specific reason for that. No, Owl, you gotta let him know. You gotta let him know that British things are unacceptable. Okay. That should now be a perfectly grated block of cheese or so. Again, I don't know how much I'm using exactly. If I need more, I'll grate more. Okay. Okay, my friends, let's head to the stove. Excellent. And again, remember, it's still just barely simmering away. We're softening all of those vegetables. Right? We're softening it up. We're trying to get it nice and tender. It's filled with the spices. I'm going to taste it. Oh, that is delicious. And it is still not fully seasoned. And then at the end, we're going to add the chorizo. It's going to be amazing. It's just going to be amazing. Okay, I'm going to wrap up the cheese and put it back in the fridge. Everybody, we have about 10 more minutes to kill until we have to get to blending. If anybody has any questions, anything that you all want to say to me, anything that you want to ask me, I am here to help you cook. I'm here to help teach you things. So, even if you think it's a dumb question, there's no such thing as a stupid question. It can be about me, or it can even be about the food. Okay. Of all this cheese. It's all gonna go into the soup. You know, Owl is letting him know. Owl is doing the good work right now. Okay. Sakunichi says, I'm normally not very into cheese or cream soup, so what's a dish I should try to become a convert? Oh. Now, are you asking for general cheese dishes, Tarina? Or are you asking about cream soup dishes? If you're asking about cream soup dishes, one that I would recommend, you gotta do a potato and leek soup. You gotta do a potato, leek, and cheese soup. Basically, a very similar concept to what we're doing right now. You cannot go wrong with a potato and leek soup. One of my favorites. Classic. Potato and leek soup, do it with a homemade chicken stock. Really, really delicious. Huh? I would do potato and leek soup. That is what I would recommend. Because you can't go wrong with leeks. Leeks are so delicious. I love the alliuminess of it. It is one of my favorite alliums as far as they go. It is really, really beautiful stuff. In fact, I should make one again soon. Okay, I'm gonna put the stock away. I'm gonna strain it out after the stream because I don't have much interest in doing that right now. American chili with beans and cheese, what about that? No. I love a chili. I love American chili. Okay, the soup is going. The broccoli stems are getting nice and tender. The carrots are breaking down. In about 8 minutes time, I think, my friends, will be ready to blend. Only thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna scrape up the sides because there seems to be a bunch of stuck bits on the sides. And I don't wanna leave any stone unturned, okay? I wanna make sure it's all getting inside, okay? And we'll thin this out with stock if it ever gets too thick. But we'll only know how thick it is once we're blending it. Ah, excellent. Scraping it all up, getting it back in there. Tastes excellent as well, really aromatic at the moment. But yeah, no, I would say potato leek soup, Really nice. You do your own chicken stock for it. You get it like really, really aromatic with a bunch of leeks in there. What it cooks seems yummy. Thank you. I hope so. So about 7 more minutes left on it. And then I'm going to check the texture of the broccoli stems and the carrots. Make sure it's soft enough for us to blend up. I'll show you what we'll be using. Also, thank you, Future, for the sub. Cheese to meet you. What can I say? What can I say? Okay. This is an immersion blender. This is what we'll be doing. This is what we'll be using. These are really, really nice if you need to blend up something that's hot, if you want to keep it inside of a pot. I love this thing. Okay? Now, if you have a regular blender, let's say you have, look, unless you have an open top blender, you should really never be blending hot things in a closed blender. Think of your NutriBullet, think of your Ninja blender or something. That's what you probably have at home if you have a blender. Those are not good for hot things. Anything that seals on top, okay, and that has like a closed surface on it, you cannot blend hot things. I want a Vitamix. Vitamixes, they have open tops. Oh, they're so good, man. That's what I want more than anything. How hard is it to clean? Asks Death Owl. Really easy. You know why? Look at this. Separates. Only this part gets dirty. You scrub that up and it takes a second. Don't put it in your dishwasher. It takes a second to clean. Really, really easy is my answer. So I really want to, I want a Vitamix so badly. I'm going to put it in my throne at some point, but it would be the dream to play around with one of those. Okay, the broccoli stems, the carrots, the onions, they're all getting really, really soft and silky. 5 more minutes on this, my friends, and then it's all gonna get blended up. And then once it's blended, we add the cheese in bit by bit by bit. It's gonna be awesome. I love your tattoos. Thank you. I like them too. I got them myself. My immersion blender doesn't come apart. Yes, get an immersion blender, very important. This is the KitchenAid one from like 6 years ago. Get one that comes apart like this so you can wash it. If it's all one unit, like what Altered Good has, I really don't recommend purchasing it. It is just going to be an inconvenience. It's going to be a hassle. It's going to be difficult to clean. Okay. So, and then after that, here's the stages of the blending. Remember, I really, really want to show this off again. The broccoli florets, we've set them aside. These are only going to be half blended in. Okay, these are not going to be fully blended in. We don't want these to become a puree. We want everything that is currently in the pot itself to become a puree at the moment. And then after the broccoli gets half blended, we're going to add the chorizo pieces. We took all of the fat out of the chorizo, right? We fried it up nicely, and we cooked all of these vegetables. You see all that fat on the surface? All of that is the chorizo fat. All that is a beautiful chorizo fat, and it's adding so much flavor into this whole thing. It's going to be spicy, it's going to be sweet, it's going to be really, really delicious. I guess I like different kitchens because, man, the chorizo is good. I just use mine all the time. Now, I don't recommend doing that. I don't recommend taking that apart and putting it in the dishwasher. I would just scrub it up outside of it. For these kinds of appliances, they don't tend to last very long if you dishwash them. It dulls them, it can rust them if it's not purely stainless steel. The other day I had a blue cheese and mint jelly sandwich. Says cream. Whoa. Blue cheese and mint jelly. Where would you have a blue cheese and mint jelly sandwich, cream? Was this at like a restaurant? It's quite unusual, isn't it? Actually, blue cheese mint jelly. This sounds very distinctly British to me. Something about that sounds very, very British. Because mint jelly, right? The idea of mint jelly, especially eating lamb with mint jelly, it's a very British thing to do. So I do wonder. Oh, excellent. It's looking really, really good. Okay, 3 more minutes. I can tell that the vegetables are perfect and ready to be blended up. I'm gonna taste this again. The spices are coming through. Excellent. I'm convinced blue cheese was filtered. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're not talking shit about blue cheese. We're not doing that right now. This is not a place to do so in chat. Okay? It's not a place to talk shit about fermented cheeses. I love blue cheese. I love it. Love it. This is not the place to do so. I'm sorry that you don't like it. But this is a blue cheese safe space. I am a firm blue cheese lover. Except I hate when it's overused in things. Like let me tell you about something that really bothers me. A blue cheese burger. How many times have you gone to a gastropub? God, I hate that word. A gastropub, and they have advertised, we have a blue cheese burger. And it's just like a big slab of overcooked meat and a bunch of blue cheese, and they put like spinach on it or something, and it becomes immediately drowning. Ugh, it just drowns everything out. It's a strong ingredient. You have to use it sparingly. And I hate burgers that are overcomplicated like that. To me, a burger should be like the peak of simplicity. But okay. This is almost done, my friends. It's almost done cooking. We have about 30 seconds on it, and then we gotta blend it all up. Oh, it looks great. And then we add the cheese in, and it's gonna get nice and thick. Okay, my friends. Any final questions before we begin the blending process? What I'm actually gonna do is, I'm gonna open up chat on my phone. There's no way to keep it off of camera that way. Any questions that you want me to answer? Now's the time to say it. Yes, you're absolutely right, Suguna cheese. Suguna chess. We talked about cheese so much, I called you Suguna cheese. Okay, guess what? We can shut off the heat now. We don't need it to boil any longer. In fact, we want it to cool down slightly. And it will cool down with the blending process because we're gonna whip some cold air into it from the surrounding environment, right? So, let's get this thing ready. Let's plug it in. Because I have a nice outlet station there just for this purpose. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a little section and we're just gonna blend it up. And I'm not trying to scratch the bottom of this pan, even if it's a stainless steel one. Is this on high? It is on high. We're gonna get the whole thing really beautifully smooth. Blending it all up, my friends. Yeah, I can't read chat. So, everybody entertain yourselves. Behave. I want to hear a yes, chef, please. And thank you. So you see how smooth we're getting all of this? The sodium citrate's really helping to keep it all together. The broccoli stems, the carrots, everything is thickening this up. Okay? Get it all incorporated. Get it all mixed through. Oh. And this is still before the inclusion of the cheese, which is going to really help with the salinity. It's going to help make this whole thing really, really special. And we still haven't included the majority of the broccoli florets. And you can see how silky the puree we have. How many times have you seen a broccoli cheese soup look this good? I'd argue not that often. Because we're intentionally pureeing the hell out of all the stems before we add the florets. Okay, guess what? That has now almost been fully blended. We're going to go ahead and start going in with the cheese incrementally. Does using sound waves to age cheese? What does that mean? Okay. Gamers, that is so sweet. That is delicious. That is an incredible start to an incredible soup. Okay, and now, incrementally, we're gonna go in with the cheese. And we're gonna always thin this out with stock if we need some. We have plenty of stock. We shouldn't be afraid to use it. This has the potential to get really thick really fast. And I think we're gonna have to do so. This is a lot of solids right now. Yep, the immersion blender is doing a really nice job of incorporating all of it. Let's do the next batch. In fact, theoretically, we could just whisk things in, but We have a blender, we may as well use it. Right, you get it in there. Careful for splashes, you don't want to lift it up too much or anything. And now we're just going to mix this around to make sure that that cheese did break down evenly inside. It looks good. Oh, that is so good. That flavor, let me tell you right now, that flavor is so complex. There is so much going on in that mouthful right now. There is so much. You're getting the jalapenos, the toasted spices, the cheese now all of a sudden, the broccoli. Ooh. That is an excellent start to an excellent soup. And we still haven't added the chorizo back in. We still haven't added the broccoli florets in or anything. I think that's just the right amount of cheese for the soup. And the sodium citrate is keeping everything really nice together. Excellent. Next handful of cheese going in now. Oof. It's a lot of work, my friends. Clicking that button is a lot of effort. The internet will not kill the stream, I promise. It'll be okay. Okay, let's get back to this. We have a lot more cheese to go through still, my friends. Oh, look how nice and thick this is all becoming, huh? Nice and cheesy. Ooh, dude, this soup looks so good. Yeah, that is the perfect amount of cheese for the soup. All right, last few handfuls. And we'll thin this out as needed. Okay. Last handful going in now. Pulling all of it in, my friends. Okay. That should be that. Dropping that in my sink. I'll deal with that later. Let's blend this up. And guess what? We're not done yet. We are not done yet. We still have quite a bit to do. Look at this texture. Look how smooth that is. Huh? Perfect. Look how smooth that is. It's delicious. It looks great. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and just mix this up a little bit now. Make sure that if there is anything stuck to the bottom, we can go ahead and get rid of it now. But it looks, oh my God. Dude, that is so good. Are you serious? Wait, I'm sorry, guys, that is like actually kind of ridiculous. That is incredible. Okay. That is really, really special. Whoa. That is incredible. Okay, and now the broccoli florets. Add these in. And these, we want to intentionally keep a little bit chunky, okay? Because we don't want this to become baby food. We just want to go ahead and grab some, break them down. Grab some, break them down. And this is what really properly becomes a broccoli chorizo soup. Oh, look at that. Okay, a little bit finer, but not too fine, because I want to have those chunks in there. That's what I'm talking about. That's great. I see some big chunks left over still. We're gonna get rid of those. Almost done. Excellent. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get all that broccoli soup off of it. We don't want to waste any. I'm not gonna bang the side of my pot though. Okay? Gonna get that out of here. And now, my friends, guess what? We did it. Look at the soup. Look at the soup. Oh, that is ridiculous. That is actually just ridiculous. Okay, we're gonna do another spoonful of stock. I'm gonna add that in now because it's a little thick for me. Maybe like half a spoonful, half a little full. We don't want to break this texture too much. And remember, the sodium citrate is gonna keep all of this together with just a little mixing. It's not gonna separate. Okay, we're just thinning it out slightly. There you go. It all comes together. Whew. That's it. That's the stuff right there. Look at that texture. Look at that. Remember what I said about intentional heterogeneity? We got the rest of it so smooth. We got it perfect. Oh, look at this. And then we just kept the broccoli florets mostly whole. Wow. That is so good. And then the chorizo. Don't forget about the chorizo, my friends. Chorizo, the crispy fried chorizo that we put so much love and steak into. Going in now. Like little crispy bits of goodness, like little bits of bacon almost. All right, okay. That goes in now. And we're gonna do a little bit of extra salt. That's all that this needs. We're gonna mix it all together. A little bit of extra salt. Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. That's the soup. That's it right there. This is him. That's one of the best soups I've ever made, period. Okay, everybody, you ready to play? Let's play. That is straight up one of the best soups I've ever made. That is actually just incredible. I'm gonna grab that. I'm gonna grab my trusty little ladle. And now, my friends, we're going to ladle this in. This is a very rich soup. We don't want too much of it. This is plenty for one person. That, maybe a little more, fine. My friends, look at this. This is, perhaps, one of the best soups I've ever made, period. Let's talk about everything that went into this. We made our own homemade chicken stock out of a whole chicken carcass. We took broccoli. We separated the florets from the stems. The stems we peeled and sliced up with carrot, onions, jalapenos, and garlic. The broccoli florets, we charred them in a 500-degree oven and got them really nice and crispy. Okay, we sauteed a bunch of chorizo, we crumbled it up, and then we cooked those vegetables in the chorizo fat. We poured it in our homemade stock, we poured in some milk. We added a little bit of sodium citrate to keep it all together, as well as a bunch of garlic. And we also made freshly toasted spices, cumin, coriander, and black pepper, all together, all in harmony, all in unison. We cooked it all down, got it nice and soft, we blended it in with some milk, and then we blended in a bunch of cheddar cheese. And then we finished it off with the broccoli florets that we charred. We set them aside, we blended them in last, and we added also the chorizo as well at the end. My friends, let's have a proper taste now, yeah? Excellent. Amazing. That's perfect. That's one of the best soups I've ever made. That is hands down one of the best soups I've ever made. That is impossible to beat. Incredible. All right, everybody. Any final questions, comments, concerns, anything that you want to say to me? And I'm going to finish eating this off stream. Do you understand how much love we put into everything here? We put so much love into every single step, and we got this perfect soup as a result. How much pepper? A lot of it. I don't measure that. Okay. So good. There's a lot of cheese though, so you gotta be careful. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Next stream, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. This Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for being here. Also, thank you so much to the creator for the sub. Really appreciate it. Pretty sweet of you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get another cooking streamer. And remember, get excited. I have some cool updates coming to the stream that's gonna be here by Sunday. There's gonna be a lot of cool shit happening. So I'm gonna see you all really, really soon. Bye-bye. Oh wait.